income below 5 million, 10 million, 5 million, are you aware that you are exempted? So automatically, your B status would have made you to receive the tourism relief fund. But what you say to me, what would I say to the workers? I will tell them that their employers are not willing to be part of building a new South Africa. Their employers, they need to help me as workers to sit around the table and have a heart-to-heart conversation with their employers as South Africans to say, how do we rebuild this country that comes from the ashes of apartheid, that excluded majority of South Africans, that we want to build a non-racial society, but an inclusive economy. Inclusive economy doesn't say that I must perpetuate to give support to the previously advantaged at the expense of the previously disadvantaged. That's what I would say to the workers. We have to make sure, that's why I'm even talking, some of these employers we are talking about, by the way, who have perpetually in the public domain claimed to have the best interest of the workers at heart, were not even taking the money that the workers were contributing of UIF to Department of Labor. It was this government that took a decision to say, despite the employers not taking the money and contributing it to UIF, we are going to make sure that we take care of the workers. This is what we stand for, and this is who we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Will the Minister give us a list of those beneficiaries, Deputy Chairperson?
They are on the website of the department.
What you are doing is out of order. And I can testify that just recently I watched a TV show and there was white tourism operators that said that they were very lucky and fortunate to get
Chairperson, sorry.
On a point of order.
No, but I'm just bringing order here because Honorable Bratters also is just shouting.
Point of order.
Order. I'm chairing the session. Order. I can.
On a point of order.
Chairperson, point of order.
On a point of order. On a point of order is. Chair, you should not be so biased.
I'm not biased. I'm telling the truth, but I'm not saying
No,
what
I'm very sorry. You should not.
It's not biased.
Minister, because you're speaking about white people.
Order, and we are going to continue. Honorable Ngwezi, are you on the platform?
Okay.
Honorable Ngwezi, are you on the platform? If you are not, we are going to continue. And the next, let me just give to the next follow-up question will be from Honorable Leahy. Honorable Leahy.
In what ways do you envision the sector will involve to aid recovery post-COVID-19? And would you say that the department is ready? Sorry?
I don't hear. Can you hear her? Honorable Lee, can you try again? Okay.
Okay. In what ways do you envision the sector will involve to aid recovery post-COVID-19? And would you say that your department is ready for that undertaking?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You got the question?
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Yes, indeed, Honorable Member. Se re se batlang go na le se re se lakatsang re le lefapha la tourism la botsamai ke gore re lakatsa gore re bane le sector e loreng e include batho ba botlhe, sector e loreng e inclusive mo e loreng mosadi o motsho o kgona gore le ena a one restaurant, a one hotele, bana ba batjha ba ba tswang ko di remote area ba fitlhele support from borona ke se re batlang go se bona. Se re sa batleng go se bona gore ga COVID e tsamaile re fitlhele le gore re na le sector e loreng e tshwana le pre-1994. Gantsi ke tlhola ke bua fa ke le emanlane le ba ditaba ke ba bolelela gore ke yona ntho e nketsang ke se ka robala, because ga o lebella sector ya rona and o lebella mathata batho ba batsho or ba ile reng ba tswa from previously disadvantaged communities, re bua ka basadi whether ba batsho gore ke ba khoa gwa tshwana kara sector ya rona o ba fitlhele le gore bontsi ke basadi ba tletse mara ga o ba batla ko managementing ga o ba fitlhele ga o ba batla ko ownershiping ga o ba fitlhele se ke se batlang ke gore ga re tswa COVID-ing jaaka re bereka mo tourism recovery ko re ba fitlhele le bona ba kgonne go fumana ditšhono tša gore ba be di owners tsa di business ba be di manager. That's why re na le di program tse fapaneng tse tshwanang le executive development program re ranang ko UNISA this week. Bomme ba tsene ba etsa executive development program ba simolotse beke ba tloetsa program re ba supporta re le lefapha la tourism because re ba batla ba bona ba tshwere ba le di CEO. Tourism Equity Fund ke yona engwe re batlang gore batho ga re tswa COVID re be re bona gore go na le batho ba bantsi ba previously disadvantage ba e le gore ba le bona ba owner. So ke se re se irang mara re le lefapha re ka se be ra kgona go ira tsotlhe re le ba re tlhoka ba bantsi ba rona ba leng ka ra sector ba re supporte le lona le maloko a parlamente le re supporte mo di planning tse tsa gore re ageng Afrika Borwa e le gore otlhe motho o feel included o feel gore le nna ke part ya setšhaba se. Ke a leboga.
Have you finished, Honorable Minister?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me just get back to the guide. I'm sorry. So that was the first question that we dealt with for the Minister of Tourism. We will now continue and we will request that the Honorable Minister respond to question number 43 as asked by the Honorable H.S. Boshoff.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Boshoff, for your question. I think it gives me an opportunity to clarify what Tourism Equity Fund is about. In its criteria, Tourism Equity Fund directs its support to businesses owned and controlled by South African with 51% majority Black ownership and control, not 100%, 51%. That's the first thing. So it's not 100% supporting Black people. It's in the process of transformation. Thus, the fund criteria is inclusive as it is accessible to all South Africans. In its conception, recognition was made to the fact that levels of participation of Black majority, women, youth, and people with disability are nowhere near the target set by the tourism BBBEE sector codes. State of transformation in the tourism survey revealed that promoting Black ownership of enterprises is a primary element. If you look at the 2015 report, if you look at the 2018 report, you would notice that actually we were regressing in terms of transformation. Very few enterprises achieve the target sets of ownership. In fact, less than 45% of tourism enterprises in the three subsectors, accommodation, hospitality, and travel, had achieved at least 30% ownership target. It is for this reason that over and above the 51% ownership and control requirement, priority is also given to those businesses whose ownership and control includes 40% of women, 30% of youth, and 2% people with disability. Further, the fund also prioritizes businesses in rural areas as part of inclusivity and township. In essence, the TEF moves away from an approach that empowers a few to a broadening ownership and control in the sector. After the launch, the fund in January, by the way, Honorable Member, there was a threat of litigation that because this is unconstitutional, and because we know we've done our work and we know we are constitutional in what we have done, and we have been taken to court last year on BEE, we won, and we do anticipate that this one, if anyone wants to take us to court, we'll fight on and we will win. And that's why there's not been any court case as we speak, and we are implementing. And you were saying few people are going to benefit. I can tell you now, the response is overwhelming from both Black and white, by the way. There are white businesses who are saying we've always wanted to have partnership with Black entrepreneurs because we want to benefit from government businesses. We've not been able to because the banks were not supporting them because they don't have surety. With Tourism Equity Fund, you've made it possible for us to reach our dreams. I've received those letters, I've received those calls. I'm not so sure which part of South Africa you live in that is not cognizant of what is it. I go across the country, province by province, village by village. Many people have been saying This is long overdue. And by the way, honorable members, we're just talking about mere 1.2 billion support. It's not even the tip of, it's going to touch the tip of the iceberg. Where I'm sitting, I should be having at least 200 billion to be able to achieve what we want to achieve in terms of tourism transformation. But we said, even with this little, let's do our best to contribute in transformation so that it could be seen and could be believed that we are doing our best. Thank you very much, House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Boshoff, you can ask your follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister, thank you for your response. And from the onset, I would like to say you should be thankful that you got 1.2 billion because many other departments didn't receive anything. But Minister, as you've just rightly said, that litigation is in its place and you are so sure that you're going to win, etc., etc. You're not afraid of any litigations that are going to take place. But why, Minister, is it that civil organizations have to threaten with lawsuits before you and your government realize that the tourism industry as a whole has suffered and not just an elite few? I'd like a response on that, as you have an obligation towards all the citizens, and you should, to show unity, reach out to every tourist-related business and not be fixated on race-based ideologies. Who, Minister, I would like to know, were the donors who contributed to the TEF fund, and were they aware that their donations would be used to divide South Africans instead of furthering the dream of our rainbow nation? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, over to you.
Thank you. I think I need to spend some time with Honorable Boshoff. One, there is no litigation in place, Honorable Boshoff. There isn't. AfriForum and Solidarity issued a statement to say they will go to court. They sent letters to get explanation. I called a meeting. We met around the table. I explained. There isn't any papers that I have in front of me. Since January, we launched them. So there isn't litigation, Honorable Member. So please get your facts right. The second fact that you need to get right is that there are no donors, Honorable Member, that contributed to this fund. Thirdly, fact that you need to get right is that the 1.2 billion doesn't come wholly from government. So that's the fact you need to get. Out of the 1.2 billion, Honorable Boshoff, almost 540 comes from us as the department. There's a contribution from CIFA in terms of the loan fund. So the one that we have will be a grant. CIFA brings the loan, and then private bank brings credit facility to make it to 1.2. If what we were doing was not within the legal framework, do you think any bank would want to be part of it? That's the first question. If what we are doing is not viable, does not have sustainability, do you think any private bank would want to be part of it? No. So those are the first facts that you should be. I think as a member who serves in tourism, you should be advocating for more resources of tourism, not to say that we must be thankful. Tourism is one of the least funded, Honorable Member, in this country. But yet, if indeed what you are saying, you believe in it, in terms of tourism being critical as a backbone or one of the pillars of the economy, you should be able to say, actually, the Department of Tourism deserves more money. But I'll leave that for the time when we deal with our budget vote, so that we can have that conversation. How do you have a pillar? What we have learned to do in tourism is creative ways of doing things. We go and find partners so that we can enhance our support. You say I should be able to stop being fixated on ideology. Ideology is very important because it grounds you and you have a standpoint as a person, but I'm not fixated on segregation. I'm fixated in building a non-racial society, but that is cognizance of the past, that a Black woman pre-1994 was the face of poverty. A Black woman post-1994 remained a face of poverty, that today during COVID, a Black woman remains the center and remains the face of poverty. And that as a leader in this government, I have an obligation to contribute to changing this face of poverty because it's unacceptable. That's the fixation I have. Do I support white businesses? Yes, I do. I've been across the country. They've benefited from our programs. I've been to establishments where I've promoted them. As I left, they were full to capacity. One of them is Palala. You can call them, ask them. I went there last year in Limpopo. When I left, since last year, I left until now in April, they're fully booked. Go and check all of them. I was in Tsitsikamma area. Go and check where I stayed when I was there. So you must look objectively. You would see that we balance our support, but our support must not be at the expense of the other. It shouldn't be that because you want us to show a non-racial society that we must exclude that and we ignore what the prescripts of the Constitution requires us to do in terms of redressing the apartheid past. We have that obligation. All of us, including yourself, you need to start advocating for an inclusive society. Thank you.
No, thank you. I gave you an extra minute because you requested to clarify that, but I will take it away from other questions or other responses. Honorable Plenary, standing in for Honorable Zandamela.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Minister, for the longest time, Black people have been excluded from sectors that white people believed belonged to them. The Tourism Equity Fund can go a long way in ensuring that Black people are more than just subjects of township and rural tours, like animals in a zoo, but rather owners, beneficiaries, and contributors to the sector and the GDP, hospitality. Minister, how do you aim to ensure that the TEF does not become yet another failed government project met with looting and corruption? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Plenary. Indeed, there is a need for us to ensure that Black people and majority who are living in rural areas and actually in townships do not become the subjects, but also become product owners and actually benefit. This is what we have as an obligation. We do also acknowledge that there's been issues around corruption, issues around mismanagement of funds in programs that government has initiated in other areas. That's why we have investigations that are happening. So one is cognizance of that. And that's why when we started this thing, I was able to sit with the team and say, we are looking at ensuring that there is transparency. We are looking at ensuring that there is accountability. So one of the things, for example, you would know when you work with the banks, if somebody is a PEP, politically exposed persons, banks are able to pick that up and raise a flag. So one of the things that we are cognizant of and appreciative in the partnership is that one. So in the application process, do people want, we do make sure that people actually disclose if they are. But one of the things that we want to do from our side, I've committed, is that like we have done with the Tourism Relief Fund, where we've released all the beneficiaries on our website for public scrutiny. That's what we are going to do. We've set targets and we are also working in terms of tranches. So we're not submitting the entire amount at a go. So you'd have money that has gone for this financial year, next financial year, and the other financial year, as we do in terms of 3 years. And this is important because in the process, we are doing monitoring and evaluation. There will be reporting in terms of reporting from CIFA, who are the administrators for this fund, to the department, and I will receive the report and we'll definitely make sure that we are able to report to Parliament with those progress and what has been. What might be difficulty is at the time we release the names and all that, we'd have to do the assessment, but we've got all the issues. I want to assure of transparency and accountability on this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Landsman, you will do the next follow-up. Honorable Landsman. Is Honorable Landsman on the platform? If Honorable Landsman, if you are not there, we will continue. We will now give to Honorable Chitoe for the follow-up question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, tourism is a complex yet simple industry. Tourists visit destinations to relax, appreciate, and experience, and tourism is an industry that is supposed to grow and evolve. It cannot be forced. Minister, BEE exclusion or inclusion for some, the exclusion is discrimination. Discrimination is racism. By focusing only on supporting Black entrepreneurs or companies with a 51% ownership, you are focusing mostly on individuals and not the whole industry. The tourism industry is reliant on tourists, Minister, irrespective of race. According to President Ramaphosa, the tourism directly accounts to 2.9% of South Africa's GDP and 8.6% indirectly. It supports about 1.5 million jobs. But you know this. Minister, would you agree that focusing financial support on your historical voter base, in other words, Black South Africans, knowing that government failed to create a safe and economical stimulating environment for conducive job creation, that this racist acts of exclusion forms part of the greater election campaign to boast the illusion that government cares, when in reality, it's the cause of the demise of this country? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister, for you to respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chitoe, for your question. I think it's unfortunate that we seem to misinterpret what the Constitution says. The Constitution does take cognizance that we come from a difficult past. It puts an obligation on us to say you've got to be able to redress the past. That's the first thing. So that's a constitutional obligation I have as a minister, because I took oath of office to abide by the Constitution and the policies of this country. BBBE Act is an act of Parliament that you and I, Honorable Chitoe, have taken an oath of office as members of Parliament to abide by those laws. So it's not optional for us. When it suits us, we will abide by this law. When it doesn't suit us, we mustn't abide by this law. The oath of office says we will abide by all laws. So until BBBE Act is not a law, I am obligated as a member of Parliament first and as a minister to implement it. That's the first thing. The second thing, you're talking about the illusion in terms of discriminatory. This is one of the programs. So I'm not so sure if you're familiar with the programs that the Department of Tourism runs, because you seem to insinuate that out of all the work that we are doing, this is the only thing that we do. Or surely President Ramaphosa would have fired me if that's the only thing I do. We do quite a lot of work in terms of support, but would honorable member acknowledge that the tourism sector remains untransformed? And that's why today we are having this conversation. Because if over time, willingly, based on the commitment by the sector themselves, because if you remember, the codes and the targets are not set by us. It's the sector that come together and agree that this is what would be. So it's a sectoral code. Do you agree that should it have been voluntarily, that the sector on its own transforms, we would not have this conversation today? And would you agree that it is this conversation that pushes leaders into a corner and blackmail them as if they are not truly representing all South Africans? That has left us to the disaster of an untransformed tourism industry. Because if we had previously reached the area in terms of making sure that all of us understand the importance of every South African feeling part of this country, contributing to the development and feeling that opportunities are equal. It's an example like you saying people must compete, but you put a person 1 kilometer ahead of the other and you say it's a fair race. How is it a fair race when I'm standing 200 meters or 2 kilometers away from you and you are standing there because you have been given opportunities by a previous government. You have been given opportunities, not because I was stupid as a black person or a black woman. I was not given, I was told I'm a perpetual minor. I do not have rights. And as the rights come, I'm catching up with you. And you are saying we must raise equally. How is that fair?
Point of order. With all due respect, Minister, you do not know what my background is. You insinuating that I'm privileged because I'm white. You are the one that's racist.
Honorable Toy, you ask the question and you cannot take it personal now. Because you generalize, the minister is generalizing.
No, Chair. The minister
don't respond
pointed to me in person.
Honorable Toy doesn't want to hear your response.
The minister pointed to me
you
in
ask the
person.
question, listen to the response, respect the process, please.
Point of order, Chairperson. Point of order, Deputy Chair. Once again,
cannot individualize. He must speak
once
to the
again,
whole country.
Honorable Ryder.
Once again, Deputy Chairperson, you are not being impartial, and I must ask you to please be impartial and less emotional. Less emotional in your dealing with members.
My responsibility is to keep order. And honorable,
yeah, you mustn't be emotional, Chair.
Personal. You cannot personalize when you've asked a question and you get the response. It cannot become personal. I must keep order in this house. It's not about that.
Very emotional.
Order. There is order. Order from yourself even. Don't say I'm emotional because I'm a woman. Don't bully me. I'm not emotional. I'm trying to keep order.
Point of order.
Order.
Honorable Ryder never referred to you as a woman. You are putting words in his mouth.
When he said I'm emotional, what does he mean? Because man doesn't become emotional. So please, order here. We are continuing. Honorable Detoy doesn't want the answer to his response to his question anymore because
okay, he does want an answer, but it's you that's not impartial.
Honorable Boshoff, please. May we continue?
Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Honorable Deputy Chairperson.
Respond to question number 41.
Sorry, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Honorable Landsman has a connection problem, so he has asked me to take his question, if you allow me.
I will allow you. Honorable Khai, you may continue.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Greetings to the Minister and the Deputy Minister, Fish Mahlale. Honorable Minister, there is no doubt that the tourism sector is among the important sectors of our economy, which is still an exclusive preserve of the few. We in the African National Congress welcome your courageous leadership in using the Tourism Equity Fund as part of the strategies to redress the imbalances of the past, as opposed to those who seek to maintain the colonial and apartheid status quo. How is the department going to ensure that this equity fund is going to be distributed in a transparent and ethical manner to benefit the intended beneficiaries? I thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Khai. Honorable Minister, you may respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khai. Honorable Chair, thank you very much. Thank you for that and the support. We do appreciate it. Indeed, ours is to build an inclusive tourism sector, a sector that we can all be proud of, that when we go and market abroad, that those that we market at do not ask us in terms of making sure that we are attending, we are making sure that we're dealing with issues of sustainability and sustainability of tourism. Indeed, the issue of transparency, what we have asked for the process in terms, let me just explain in terms of the process. It's when a person applies, they apply and they submit the documents. There's a technical team that sits at CIFA, which is the people who are able to do due diligence in terms of the proposal. Look if this person is indeed a person that is an entrepreneur, has an interest in this, and has an experience in running. Because one of the things that we are saying, it shouldn't be that it's a Mamoluko who comes from somewhere who doesn't know what, does not partner with anyone in terms of tourism. Then you'd have an establishment that is not sustainable. So we're looking in terms of expertise, we're looking in terms of the people in terms of the running business, experiencing businesses, and also because we are, that's why one of the things that I always say to honorable members, they must pay attention, is the area where we are partnering with the banks. So we come with a grant and we acknowledge that we might not be able to do the proper due diligence. That's why we've asked CIFA to help us. So SIFA will do the work, analyze, make sure that it's the right people with the right product and it's going to contribute to tourism, and then they approve. Out of that, then the work is done as well. It includes even the banks looking at that. So one of the things that we said, as we do the approvals as part of building confidence, because we do not want to lose in terms of confidence, we want to get the money back as well in terms of the loan, where it is going to be sustainable for the program to run ahead in how we are doing. So we also going to propose, we also not propose, we're also going to publish the beneficiaries where they can tell their stories. We'll visit the sites. We'll also provide the list so that as and when members are doing oversight, they can go to the oversight and see the areas of support, like we've done with the Black industrialists. If you go to DTIC website, you'll go on the website, you'll find a story of that particular person who has benefited under the Black industrialists. So we're taking that model almost to be able to replicate it in the tourism space. So we do commit, Honorable Chairperson, that we will continue to account in Parliament and be transparent and provide the report so that you are able to not only from the reports read, but you can visit these establishments and you see for yourself that indeed this is what we have done. The best resolve in terms of dealing with corruption and all that, it's transparency. Publishing the people, publishing how much they've got and all those things, and the businesses. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The next question is question number 41 by Honorable Mandahai. Minister, over to you to respond to the question of Honorable Hai.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson and Honorable High Chairperson of the SLET Committee. The Department of Tourism programs have a bias towards areas that have not been in the mainstream of tourism activities, with the aim to bring more activities in such areas. This includes townships, small towns, and rural areas. Departmental intervention in these areas include, but not limited to, SMMEs development, access to finance, market access support, product development support, skills development, tourism safety, reigniting domestic tourism recovery. The department's footprint in this regard covers all the 9 provinces of our country. Our marketing, South African tourism developed specific content and promoted township experiences, which received significant media exposure in the mainstream and digital during the tourism month across the various provinces. As part of reigniting of the domestic tourism through the domestic tourism campaign, township and rural products and experiences are a large part of the campaign. To mention but a few, the campaign has provided exposure to areas such as Umtata and surrounds in the Eastern Cape, Rimfasmak in the Northern Cape, Eshowe in Northern KwaZulu-Natal, Soweto in Gauteng, etc. The campaign will continue to include other townships and rural areas, like I will be in Francishoek tomorrow, in Cape Town, as part of my stakeholder engagement to ensure that we do make sure that our work is inclusive. This will also continue to be done with local media as well, including community radio stations across the country. In relation to the enterprise development, the Department of Tourism established incubators in Mukwasi in the Northwest Province, Phalaborwa in Limpopo, Manyeleti around Bushbuck Ridge in Mpumalanga, Mir in the Northern Cape. Each of these incubators incubates 50 entrepreneurs. We incubate 50 entrepreneurs in these incubators. The department also provides businesses and financial training support to enterprises in various townships across the country. To mention but a few, the training was conducted in places such as Langa in the Western Cape, Emalahleni in Mpumalanga Province, Thohoyandou in Limpopo Province, Klerksdorp in Northwest Province. So we are doing quite a lot. Furthermore, a partnership between South African Tourism and Google shall provide township products with access to Google training workshops and tools. This is critical in terms of ensuring adequate online marketing opportunities for SMMEs. One of the areas where department intervention, which greatly supported township and rural, as I spoke to, is tourism relief fund. We do have as well the UNWTO pilot project, which is in the rural in Limpopo. This is supporting implementation of empowerment of women opportunities in the tourism sector. We have been supporting products such as in the townships in Mdantsane, Kgaleshiwe, Khayelitsha, and Vilakazi Street, Chairperson. And we are in support currently working with Sadovito. This is an organization that is based on for South African Tourism and Village Township Association as an emerging voice of the village and township businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Khai, you may the follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Thank you once again, Honorable Minister, for the response. The issue of tourism is a shared function between national and provincial government, with a more critical role located in the hands of local government. In this regard, is there any integrated policy approach to incentivize private sector investment in the township tourism? Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khai, with that follow-up. Just to indicate, one of the work that we do as the department is destination development. And under destination development branch, we've got an area where we look at investment development. So we do investment pipelines. And part of what we do is to crouch in private sector to come and invest. And our focus has been to look in terms of investment in remote areas. For example, one of the identified areas in the Eastern Cape would be Port St. John and Coffee Bay, because we're looking for investors that can come and invest in that area so that we can develop Port St. John and Coffee Bay. So we do some work and we create opportunities so that we can create up interest in the private sector. So that's one of the things that we are trying to do to make sure that we can bring that linkage between private sector and ourselves, because we do believe that it is sustainable. We'll continue to work. I think one of the areas that we'll have to intensify in the coming financial year is working together with the municipalities, increasing the interest and ensuring that municipalities, who are most of them tourism hub as well, can focus and ensure that the LEDs are focused in tourism and we can support them. Thank you very much, Honorable Khan.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. It doesn't seem as if Honorable Ngwezi is on the platform yet. We will then give to Honorable Nana to continue with the follow-up.
Deputy Chairperson, can I request the Minister to put on the translation? I will ask this question in isiXhosa.
I can hear isiXhosa.
Oh, let's go for it then. Mphathiswa, khawuchophe uyichaze, khawuchophe usithubele ukuba kutheni le nto ezokhenketho lwasezilokishini, le nto amakhumsha i-township tourism, ingakumbi koomasipala abambaxa abafana naseRhawutini, kube eRhawutini kukho iVilakazi Street, eDurban kukho iYadini, nazo zonke nye indawo ubugqiba uzibiza ngoku, ezikhomba okokuba ugxile kakhulu kukhenketho lwasezilokishini kwiidolophu ezinkulu apho kukho oomasipala abambaxa. Iidolophana ezinembali etyebileyo ezifana naseDikeni e-Eastern Cape zingawafumana nini la mathuba okuba inxalenye yokhenketho yeli lizwe, khona ukuze nabo bakwazi Mphathiswa ukuziqhayisa ngenkcubeko yabo kwakunye nembali yezidolophana ndikuchazela ngazo. Ukuba ubungazi kodwa ndiyayiqonda uba uyazi, minintsi imisebenzi ibinokudaleka kwezaa dolophana zincinci khona ukuze kathi suke eziko kube khunoputyi odadela ngasemlilweni. Enkosi.
Thank you, Honorable Nana. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. Enkosi kakhulu, Honorable Nana. Hayi ndiyavumelana nawe ukuthi kuninzi efanele sikwenze tata in terms of improving, inhlonishwa, improving ukuthi siphucule lento ye-township tourism. Kakhulu kwezinye provinces efana nale obuya kuyo Eastern Cape. Andichaze ngalolu hlobo. Ivilakazi xa iqala ayiqalwanga nguhulumeni. Yaba ngabahlali ababonayo i-opportunity yokuba lapha sine history yabantu abaphezulu bake bahlala apha, singayenza ntoni na. Bathe badibana, bavula i-restaurant kwaqale yokuqala kweza yesibili. Bathi badibana bathi no singayikhuphula lento. Uhulumeni wangenelela sebaqalile wathi ngoba siyanibona ukuthi nithe ukuphakamisa isandla, sizawunincedisa njani sisebenzisane nani. Into endizama ukuyichaza tata is that Mhlonishwa, into efanele siyenze njengabantu basemalokishi, because kungayenzeka ngempela ukuthi ndizawuthi ndingumhlonishwa ndingumphathiswa ndicinga ukuthi ndinayo i-idea ukuthi ndingayenzani kule lali kanti ndizawubhuda. Into ebalulekile ukuba lento ndithetha ukuthi omasipala bethu lento ndihlala nabo ne-team sesenze ukuthi imasipala kube ne-workshop esiba nazo ukuthi kumasipala ibani ithini kwi-IDP zenu ni-identifya ne-LED yenu nibeke ukuthi nayi into esingayenza singaphucula njani. Ezinye ezininzi especially in the Eastern Cape ufumana ukuthi in terms of heritage history zi-rich, but xa ufika noma ufuna ukuzonceda dad kuba yingxaki. Ndizayenza i-example i-memorial site yeCalata, the Calata form yotata Calata. Xa ungajonga phaa sayakha singurhulumeni, sayithatha sayinikezela kumasipala ukuthi mabasebenzisane. Xa ungaya ngoku uyoyifumana ukuthi ayihoywanga. It's into ndifuna uyichaza ukuthi ezinye indlela safunda ngazo ukuthi ayisebenzi ngolu hlobo ukuthi usuke uhulumeni ufike wenza into ifanele idrive ngumphakathi. In that way iba sustainable. So into siyenza ndiye ndathetha no premier e-Eastern Cape ngexesha ndipha no-MEC Mvumo ndathi asiphathisaneni zininzi izinto esingazenza apha, but fanele si-change model singayi njengohulumeni sifike sithi phezulu sifake. Asithini mphakathi zintoni ezi so that we make it a community owned programs. Ngolo ndlela ngolo hlobo zizawuba sustainable tatinani. So ile nto ndifuna ukuyitsho ukuthi hayi ukuthi asizoyanga, iyafuneka nala senze khona mandingakubonisa ii-programs zethu. For example ku-EPWP uyawufumana ukuthi zininzi izinto esizenzile. Sahamba phaa kokumkhulu kotatumani Ndele sayenza ukuthize eQunu nasemvezo kakhulu emvezo. Sahamba phaa sayoyenza something support in terms of i-museum. Sasuka saya kwezinye indawo sakha khona ii-lodges sizakhile endaweni zasemaphandleni. But into siye sifumane infrastructure yethu yamoshwa sifuma because i-approach bengekho right. Uthola ukuthi ayisebenziswa ngolu hlobo ufanele isebenzise ngalo. So ene nakhona akufani nje nala eGauteng la sithetha ngokuthi amadorobha amakhulu. Xa uya eCharleville Memorial Museum uyofumana ama-weaknesses same naseSoweto khona eVilakazi. You would have read emaphepheni about kwenzakaleni kwi-Hector Peterson Memorial. So kuyafuna ukuthi si-change approach sibambisane njenge-community, especially xa iza kwezi zinto zethu zomzabalazo ukuthi the heritage yethu ayingamoshwa ize ilahleke. So ndiyathanda nami ukuthi singabambisana sonke sibonisaneni ukuthi sixazulula kanjani lento because iyasixaka nathi sometimes because ziwe uya-akha uyaletha mawubuya after a year or 2 years awuzifumani ngolu hlobo uzishiye ngalo. Enkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Apleni, you will ask the other follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Minister, considering the state of our roads, especially here in Eastern Cape, lack of water and poor sanitation in our townships under the leadership of the ANC, how do you think poor service delivery will affect these efforts and programs to promote township tourism? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Apleni. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Honorable Apleni, like any other sector, services that are basic services do affect our work in terms of the products that we are producing and all that. But maybe just to share what we have done as the Department of Tourism, we have come with what we call Green Fund. This Green Fund supports tourism establishments that can be able, for example, move away from the grid and put a solar panel so that when there is no electricity, they are able to survive. They can apply for this fund to be able to put a borehole and a water tank so that they can capture the water in rainy time. So we're not folding our arms as the Department of Tourism and saying we are going to blame another person. We are saying, how do we find solutions to work together for the sustainability of our tourism sector. So for those in the Eastern Cape that do not know, we do have a tourism equity fund. If indeed you have challenges, this is available for you to receive the support. But again, to emphasize, I've seen in terms of the interest of the Premier, as I said, I've had a discussion with the Premier, sitting down with him. He has assured his vision. I'm confident that through his vision and his work, we'll be able to achieve a lot in the Eastern Cape. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next question will be question number 36 as asked by the Honorable A.B. Klute. And Minister, you may respond to the question.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair, and thank you, Honorable Klute. The people who are eligible in terms of the criteria, an applicant must be a registered legal entity in South Africa in terms of the Companies Act 1973 as amended, a Close Corporation Act 1984 as amended, and the Cooperatives Act 2005 as amended, be 100% owned by South African citizen, be 51% black owned, be registered and compliant with the South African Revenue Services, be operating in the qualifying sectors of subsectors of the accommodation, hospitality and related services, travel and related services, or any other product initiative that support tourism development imperatives, and submit required documents such as business profile and registration documents, tourism BBBE certificate stroke affidavit, FICA documents, copies of IDs of directors, 12-month bank statement, latest financial statements and management accounts, where possible, a cash flow projection in terms of the work, because we want to see if it's sustainable. In addition, the transaction for which support is sought must have a minimum size of 10 million rand. The nature of support and size of the grant component will be dependent on the transaction's ability to contribute towards a number of developmental imperatives such as jobs, women empowerment, youth ownership, and to stimulate investment in rural, township, and small towns tourism assets. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Klute, you may ask your follow-up now.
Thank you, Chairperson and Deputy Chairperson. Maybe we need to remind ourselves about the very clear distinction between the legislative and executive authorities of the state and what the role of its oversight is. But Minister, you held a meeting with Solidarity and AfriForum on 15th of February this year, following a letter from the attorneys in which they had threatened legal action against the rollout of this equity fund, as you stated earlier. Minister, as we speak, papers are being filed in court after discussions between your department and AfriForum, and for Solidarity apparently it did not end well, so the litigation has started for you. Now, I know you won't elaborate on the legal issue now, but let me say just this. Like all other small tourism businesses, many businesses across communities already had to close their doors after the government's severe COVID-19 restrictions, regardless of the targets your party has legislated. Minister, the real disaster of transformation is that this government does not create opportunities for the poor, regardless of their rights. So you rather regulate with BEE policies and legislation than create. Minister, the past have shown us that you cannot have inclusivity by exclusion. Then rather call it beneficiarism or retributionism or something like that. From what I've heard, Minister, I want to ask you this then. Is this TEF then punishment for companies who have not met your BE targets?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Deputy Chair, and Honorable Claude. It's good to hear that you have more information about litigation. We'll deal with it when we reach to court. As I said, I'm prepared for it. We'll deal with it because it's a just war that we must fight, if I must use the word. It's about time as South Africa that we stand firm in terms of transformation. The issue of dilly-dallying and going under the table and being like as if we are with our skirts behind or our tails behind our own, it's not helpful. We are where we are because of being threatened. We are where we are because people just think that they have superior rights above others. Other people don't have the rights in this country. And one of the, as you asked me, Honorable Member, the question I would ask as well to you, if I had an opportunity as a member, perhaps would have been, do you believe that apartheid existed? But it's not your time to answer questions. It's my time to answer questions. The issue is that we are not punishing those who are not discriminatory. If we were punishing, maybe we would have gone extreme. We are taking our own resources as government, and we are bringing people who are willing to believe in the stream that we are doing. And we are saying it's about transformation. It's about ensuring that we turn the face of poverty in South Africa. It can't continue to be the face being a Black woman in South Africa. It's unacceptable. As a Black woman, I can't be comfortable to sit around the table where I have a better opportunity, I have a roof on my head, when a woman sitting on the street as an informal trader, not because he's stupid, not because he's not brilliant, the IQ is low, but because he was never given an opportunity. I have that obligation to give that woman an opportunity. And as a minister who is a Black woman, would do it and will fight to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Ryder, you may ask your follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Minister, I've listened to your answer and I just want to ask, will you be using the pencil test to determine eligibility for beneficiaries of this fund?
I beg your pardon?
Minister?
You said, will I be using what?
The pencil test, Minister.
What is a pencil test?
Minister, wow, okay. Deputy Chair, if I can explain to the Minister, the pencil test was a mechanism used...
I will explain to her because I'm a victim of the pencil test.
Indeed, Deputy Chair, we're going back to racial classifications as they were in apartheid.
So you're acknowledging that the apartheid government actually gave white people better opportunities more than Black people.
Absolutely, Minister, but now you're repeating the process.
Exactly. And if we acknowledge that, and the issue here is that we are not repeating the same, because we are not saying, and remember, what apartheid government did was exclusion of white people, of Black people. We are not excluding. Here is that if you are willing as a participant, participate. No one is forced. Black people were forced in the apartheid system. Honorable Member. Black people were not given an option to choose. Black people were not given an option to say, this is what trade you will be involved in. Black people in apartheid were never given a choice to say, this is the business that I would be involved in. They were forced. So you can't equate what we are doing with what apartheid was doing. Right now, we are saying we want to transform. Those who believe in the vision of building an inclusive and saying it is unsustainable for this democracy when majority of the people remain sidelined and not being part of the economy. Our democracy is not sustainable. We are saying to them, let's work together. And they exist, they are there. We've not forced them. Like I've said with the Tourism Relief Fund, even you can go Google, go into YouTube, you'd find videos of people who say that I am grateful I have benefited and I did not listen to the naysayers. Don't become a naysayer. Allow South Africans of all races to participate in the Tourism Equity Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Molitsane, you will be the next to ask the follow-up question.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Minister, How do you plan to ensure that this funding opportunity reaches those who need it most, and that there is a fair and equal access to information and the opportunity to apply for those involved in the sector who are based in township and rural areas? Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Moletsane. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair and Honorable Moletsane. Indeed, one of the reasons we chose SIFA to support us in the work was precisely because they exist in different areas, in remote areas. So it's not only going to be web-based application system, so people can walk into the offices and receive support and are able to apply. So we do want to make sure that those who are interested, we've circulated, we've distributed qualifying criteria. I've held discussions in communities as well online with those that are interested. We continue to explain as we go province by province. We explain what Tourism Equity Fund is about, who is eligible, so that people can apply. So we do believe that in terms of the spread of offices of SIFA, we'll be able to reach majority, and we've seen the responses. I've received a report that says responses are quite positive. A lot of people are applying. Many are even asking questions, clarifying, verifying. So we are happy that that work will be done as I committed. The transparency will continue to be there, but we want to utilize as well members as they are in their constituencies. Please make sure, because you have opportunity to download these pamphlets that we have created on our website, download them and take them to your constituencies and share with them. For those who are in your constituencies who are interested, who are real entrepreneurs and interested in benefiting out of this program, so that we can support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Dango, you will ask the other follow-up question. Honorable Dango, can you unmute, please?
Chairperson, I'm struggling to get in. Let me miss and come back.
We can hear you, Honorable Dango.
You are in, we can hear you. Continue. Honorable Dango, you may speak. I can see you are unmuted. It seems as if in Gauteng they've got problems of connectivity. We are continuing. The next question is question number 46, as asked by the Honorable Boso. Honorable Minister, you may respond to question number 46.
Thank you very much, House Chair. As the Minister of Tourism, I have engaged and continues to engage with relevant parties within the structures of the NCCC on the possible inclusion of the frontline workers within the tourism sector as part of the prioritized sector in the future phases of the vaccine rollout program in order to ensure its recovery. These discussions are still underway, guided by the Interministerial Committee on Vaccine, led by the Honorable Deputy President, Mr. Titi Mabuza. The Department of Tourism is of the opinion that frontline staff in the economy, including those in the tourism sector, should be prioritized, but such decision will be taken by the relevant structure at the appropriate time. This, together with the continued use of non-pharmaceutical measures such as social distancing, sanitizing, wearing of masks, etc., shall go a long way in boosting consumer and business confidence for our country as a tourism destination. I'm pleased to indicate that the tourism industry has pledged in writing through the Tourism Business Council of South Africa to provide financial support towards the rollout of the vaccine to frontline workers if necessary within the tourism sector. This demonstrates the partnership approach that we have been able to build between ourselves as government and the industry as we deal with the recovery of the sector. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Boshoff, your follow-up, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. And Honourable Minister, thank you for your response. It's pleasing to see that discussions have taken place between you and various departments. And it's very important that you carry on acting proactively and using the powers vested in you to ensure that the industry remains the biggest contributor to the GDP, and to show that you care and reverse the decline that this industry has experienced. You and your government must carry on to ensure that employers and employees in this industry are vaccinated. Minister, this is the only way that you will send out a signal to the international community that we are ready and that it is safe to travel to South Africa. And I would like to ask you today, if you, once you've had this meeting and the necessary decisions have been taken, that you provide me or this House with the steps that will be taken to ensure that the tourism industry is part and parcel of the phase 2 vaccine rollout program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson and Honorable Boshoff. Indeed, we are interested, we remain committed to supporting the tourism sector recovery, and will continue to work within the structures of tourism or within the structures of NCCC. Unfortunately, in terms of the protocol, Honorable Boshoff, I'm not even in the IMC. So the IMC that is responsible for the vaccine will be the communicators through the Deputy President as the chair, communicators of what has been decided upon, and they will be able to inform the public. I think government, from our side as government, we've been very clear and open. Communication has gone out regularly in terms of what has been discussed, where we are in terms of the vaccine rollout. We do believe that a lot of work beyond just the vaccine is important. There's a lot of work that is being done to rebuild confidence. It's not only around vaccinating frontline staff in terms of tourism, but engagement with international bodies, engagement with embassies, engagement with our partners across. So this is the work that we have started. I had a meeting with China yesterday, China ambassador. Last week I had interviews with media in Germany, and you would have seen even CNN had a broadcast where I was a panel in terms of the work that we are doing within and how the vaccine responds to tourism. We've seen quite positive response. It was coordinated by GCIS. So there's quite a lot of work that we are doing. The issue is to be able to take cognizance that we need to drive a better communication from all of us in how we are dealing with the variant, that we have passed that stage, and responsible communication. The other issue is that recently, I'm not so sure if honorable members have seen, where international scientists were saying, actually, South Africa has shown a good way of managing the pandemic. I think it was on CNN as well, where they were communicating to say, even before we had the vaccine run out, we were managing the pandemic very well in terms of numbers. You look at the recovery rate, you look at fatality rates, which is very low compared to other countries. So they were saying we were one of the examples that there are lessons that global communities can learn from us. So a comprehensive approach remains a critical way of us responding to the pandemic and getting an economic recovery and tourism recovery. Thank you, House Chair, Deputy Chair and Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next follow-up will be asked by Honorable Matipula, Brenda Matipula. Honorable Matipula. Is there a problem? Is Honorable Matipula not on the platform? Honorable PLENARY.
Platform chair, I think it's on. There was a mistake. It's Honorable PLENARY will do the follow-up.
will be doing the follow-up. Okay, Honorable Apleni.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister, in your discussions regarding the recovery of the tourism sector, as well as possible vaccine rollout, have there been any stakeholder engagement with business owners in the sector? And what role do you see them playing in the prevention of the spread of the coronavirus when people start traveling for leisure again? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, and thank you, Honorable Apleni. People are traveling already, Honorable Apleni, since last year. So that is work that we continue to do and encourage in terms of both domestic and international market. Traveling is happening. In terms of stakeholder engagement, we regularly meet with various organizations, as I said. We have regular meetings. The last meeting I had with TBCSA was during the strategic plan. I addressed them, we engage. When there's a need for me to call, we've been on an ad hoc basis in terms of calling each other to say, can we meet? There's something that we need to deal with. And other organizations that are outside would reach out to say, we need to talk. As I said, Satovito as well is one of the new organizations I've been engaging. We've been hosting webinars. We've been hosting engagement in terms of the sector. As we do our work towards recovery of the tourism sector domestic campaign, I've been to almost all the provinces as we speak. And in all those provinces, we interact with people who are business owners in the tourism space. And we've been able to listen to them. Yes, there is anxiety around whether the people who are coming will feel comfortable. For example, international travelers will feel comfortable to interact, for example, with a tour guide who is not vaccinated. So one of the things, that's why we said Frontline would want to include as part of our tourism recovery in the vaccine rollout for the phase 2. And that's why we've made that appeal, we've made that contribution. The other area is part of our engagement with private sector, as I said earlier on, it's the issue that where the sector said they're prepared to set aside money so that they do not burden the state with 100% funding of the frontline staff in the tourism space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mamarehane.
Honorable Minister, let me express my appreciation for your elaborate and comprehensive. What's happening? Okay. Honorable Minister, let me express my appreciation for your elaborate and comprehensive response once again. Honorable Minister, besides getting the sector frontline workers vaccinated, what else is the department doing to restore the confidence of tourists in the sector to reactivate the industry? I thank you, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mamarehane. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Thank you, Mamarehane. What we are doing is quite a lot in terms of rebuilding the confidence in the domestic market. One of the things was when we came out of first hard lockdown, we understood as the team when we sat together and said we need to get South Africans out of their houses, but we knew that people would have fears. That was around last year, August and September. And we knew that people would have fears to leave their houses because they know that they're likely to be positive. And because people had not been out to go into the houses, to go into the lodges attractions, they were not confident that it can be done. So we believed, and as we discussed, the team said, we agreed together with that team that let me be the face of the campaign. I go out, lead the campaign, go stay in the establishment, go to attractions, showcase that we are able to tour, we are able to visit our attractions and be safe. So that was the first thing that we did. The second one was also to take along with the media to this attraction so they can see that as we get there, the protocols are observed. Where there are issues, we address them. And also we are able to learn, as well as the department, And that's what led to the improvement, even on the regulations in terms of the directions. You'd see now one of the things that we are doing, because we understood that in terms of international travelers, because globally there's this thing called biosecurity standards. So for a traveler, they are interested to know what are the biosecurity standards. We call them norms and standards. So we then took a decision to work together with the private sector to develop the norms and standards for the tourism sector as something that would remain as permanent, so that we build confidence. So as we speak, those norms and standards are currently in public domain for comments. Once they are finished for public comments as required by law, they'll go to cabinet and we'll gazette them, so that people can feel confident that we are observing the protocols. We will not become the centers of the spread, and we will be able to. But another area that we are trying to look into and ensure as part of our EPWP program is to have the safety monitors assisting us, or within the programs that we are running, assisting us to be able to monitor the compliance. Because we believe if we have high level of compliance, it builds confidence. The last part would be in terms of the international engagements that I've been having, in terms of media, in terms of ambassadors, in terms of our tour operators and partners globally, so that we can explain the situation in South Africa, explain to them what is it that we are doing. If you can go and look in terms of, for example, we did quite a lot recently, Switzerland and Germany in the Europe area, you'd see that there's been quite a number of increased articles that we have done just to explain that it is safe and South Africa is open and ready to welcome the visitors. We'll engage with UAE, Emirates. We are concerned about them banning. So we'll pay attention in the coming weeks to the countries that have banned South Africa on the basis of the variant. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I am going to once again just ask whether the Honorable Ngwezi is on the platform yet. If he is not on the platform, we are going to continue, and we will request the Honorable Minister to respond to question number 42 as being asked by the Honorable Lydia Mushodi.
Sorry, I muted myself. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Mushodi. The department has, over the past 2 years, worked with various SABC, provinces and tourism association to develop a tourism safety strategy. The strategy is it's a guiding document in the management of tourist safety, and one of its main objectives is to ensure an integrated approach in the country's response to issues related to tourist safety. The strategy is divided into 3 thematic areas: proactive measures that involve initiative to minimize the risk of a tourist becoming a target; reactive measures, those initiatives that respond to a situation at a time of a crisis; aftercare program measures to ensure victim support. This is a program that we are doing across the country. One of the initiatives under this proactive measures is the Tourism Monitors Program. This program entails the recruitment and training and deployment of young people in key tourist attractions to assist tourists with tourism and safety related information. The department has also signed an MOU with the South African Police Services, and part of the collaborative entails issues relating to the training of the tourism monitors on safety and security, ensure visible policing in key tourist attractions through the Call Up program for police reservists, especially during the festive season. With regards to the Table Mountain National Park, the Department of Tourism has signed a contract with the South African National Parks, where a total of 302 tourism monitors have been placed in various parks around the country. Of this, about 100 tourism monitors have been placed at the Table Mountain National Park. The deployment followed crime incident that involved a tourist at the mountain, to which Minister, working together with the Minister of Environment, which myself working with Minister Chrissy, we swiftly responded. The department has been working with the various provincial departments, and we went together with the MEC in the Western Cape, MEC Menu, to go to the launch of this and deployment of the safety monitors in Table Mountain. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mashodi, you may ask your follow-up question.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. My apology to speak without showing my video. It's raining and lightning, no electricity on my side, Deputy Chair. Honorable Minister, once again, thanks for your response. Has consideration for the use of surveillance cameras and other advanced technological devices been made by the department and other stakeholders as part of reinforcing security and the fight against crime at the Table Mountain and other tourist attraction sites? If not, why not? And if so, what are the relevant details? Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair and Honorable Mashodi. Indeed, the strategy in terms of responding and our strategy on tourist safety includes the use of technology as a response, because we do believe that the lessons learned and how Park and the Department of Environment dealt with the poaching in Kruger National Park is one of the examples that we learned. In the Table Mountain, one of the things that we picked up, one of the challenges from our side is that we are not the owners of these parks, so we can only recommend. So one of the things that we picked up there is that there were cameras at that time, and the cameras were not functional. So the MEC, together with the municipality, worked together to resolve those issues, make sure that at least the response is adequate. And also the link between the police, local police, and with the Table Mountain was quite a good response. And that's why we've seen the decline in terms of the activities. We launched this actually towards the festive season in 2019, the tourism safety strategy with Minister Tlele, if honorable members remember. And if we looked at the December of 2019, we saw a serious drop in terms of incidences of attacks against tourists. I think we had one incident that was in Limpopo. The rest of the country, we were able to see a level of support. We received feedback, for example, even in Mpumalanga, because the Blade River route was part of a problem in terms of attacks, hijacking, and because there was police visibility, the scanners and everything, increase of, because there were street lights not working there. So partnership worked in us responding. We continue to monitor, we continue to work, obviously because of COVID-19, the work actually suffered a bit because the police had to redirect their efforts and their energy towards the implementation and of the Disaster Management Act, enforcement of the Disaster Management Act. But we've not had incidences. So we'll continue to improve, and also we'll continue to invest invest resources to ensure that we can be able to sustain this area of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Detoy, the follow-up question is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Minister, studies have proved that real and perceived crime and violence impinge on the well-being of the vast majority of the populace and restrain investment. Since the advent of COVID in South Africa, the majority of South Africans did adhere to the restrictions. They did wear their masks. They did sanitize. They did adhere to social distancing. Minister, you witnessed firsthand how Minister Dlamini Zuma, assisted by Minister Tlele, labeled law-abiding citizens as criminals with unrealistic, restrictive lockdown regulations that prevented individuals from visiting parks, beaches, and tourist destinations, bringing the industry to its knees and elevating employment and hunger to new heights. Minister, did you at any time since the advent of COVID engage with Minister Cele or Dlamini Zuma to rather focus on real crime prevention in tourist destination areas instead of these corrosive restrictions that does not stimulate the industry?
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. At some point I was lost. What is this about? Whether it's going to go to the question. Honorable Tituet, Minister Dlamini Zuma is not minister responsible. He's not even in the safety and security cluster. So the matter of me engaging with her does not even arise. Minister Cele is colleague that we work together. As I said, when we launched
Chair,
the tourism safety.
I don't know if it's only me. We cannot hear the minister.
Sorry.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Minister, please start from the beginning.
Okay, my apologies. Yeah, I think it's because it's raining outside with lightning. I hope you can hear me, but my network has been stable. Can you hear me now, honorable members?
Loud and clear.
Honorable Labuskagni, can you hear?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Honorable Dutoy, can you hear?
Yes, the minister was audible just now. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay, thank you. I was saying, Honorable Dutoy, that Minister Cele, we worked together. We launched the tourism safety strategy together jointly. And as I alluded, in 2019, after we launched it, we saw a positive response in terms of the police being on the ground supporting tourism that festive season, being able to support us across.
Point of
and
order,
making
Chair.
sure that.
Sorry, we're losing the minister.
Okay, let me close my video. Maybe, is that audible? I'll close my video for now.
You are audible. We're taking into account that you've got bad weather. You are audible now. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'm saying that we worked closely with Minister Cele and we continue to work together to implement our tourism safety strategy. It's through the support of Minister Cele that we've been able to see a decrease in the attack of tourists in the country, because even at times, I used to share with the sector, at times where I would not even be aware, he would say to me, we suspected some tourists were going to be attacked, we picked it up, we dealt with it, and he would call me, sometimes even in the middle of the night. When we had one incident in 2019, for example, in December, he was the first to call that a tourist has been attacked. Minister, be awake, get your system in place, we'll support you. So that's what we were able to do. So that's one of the issues of working together between ourselves and Minister Cele. Minister Dlamini Zuma's work is not within the safety side. So in tourism safety, there will be no need for me to engage. In terms of the regular regulation, we would make how it happens. We go into NCCC, so there will be a net joint where DG sits, makes input. There will be proposal from work streams, and we'll make our inputs. We'll go to NCCC, we'll make our inputs. Consistently, if there are, for example, like we did in December, because I'm part of cabinet, I'm part of the NCCC. When we went into cabinet and we picked up, there were going to be restrictions. Honorable members would not believe that on the 25th of December, which was on Christmas Day, that's when I received a call to say the health scientists and team are proposing some restrictions because they are red lines. We started working, calling my team, working together, preparing presentations. On the 26th of December, we called a stakeholder meeting in the evening. I think we finished around 10 o'clock with TVCSA and colleagues in order to say, what is it that they are saying I should be able to carry as a message to NCCC on their behalf? What are the do's, what are the don'ts, or not the do's and don'ts, but what is it that they are prepared to compromise and what can be compromised? And we carried those. And it's not every time that we get listened to, obviously, because based on the risk-adjusted strategy, where we must balance between lives and livelihood. When the risk is high, the restriction becomes high. When the risk is low, then the restriction becomes low. So that's the work that we do continuously as
Can you please mute that person?
Chairperson, it's the interpreter, Chair.
What's happening? The minister have finished responding to the question. I'm sorry if there is some...
On a point of order, Honourable
yes,
Deputy Chair.
yes, Honourable Boso. What is the order? What
Honourable
is the
Deputy
order?
Chair, on a point of order.
I'm listening. What is the order? Can't you hear me?
We haven't heard the reply because there was somebody interjecting whose video was on.
But we have heard, Honourable Chair.
Chairperson,
can you allow me, please? Can you allow me, please? Honourable members, if your interpretation is on and that person is interpreting it, the voice of the speaker become very soft. So I think let us just check whether it is the problem. If not, we will then make sure that we avail the records to the members so that we can have a better understanding, because we must continue. We still have another minister waiting. So we will now ask Honorable Luthuli, Silindile Luthuli, for the next follow-up, please.
Ngibonge sihlalo ngibingelele. Mphathiswa womnyango, idolobha lase-Cape Town laziwa njengamanye amadolobha anoqhekeko kakhulu emhlabeni jikelele. Ekubeni abase-Europe bafika bezojabulela lokho okutholakala kuleli dolobha. Kodwa iningi labantu abansundu abakhona ukujabulela izinto ezinhle ezitholakala khona ngenxa yamanani aphezulu alemboni abekiwe avuna labo abavakashile. Umbuzo ke uthi yipi ingxenye engadlalwa ulo mnyango wakho ukuthi uqinisekise ukuthi nalabo abangenawo amasenti ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi bayijabulise bathole amathuba alinganayo kulesi sifundazwe kunalabo abasuke bephuma emazweni angaphandle. Ngibonge.
Thank you very much, Honorable Luthuli. Honorable Minister, you may respond.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Ngibonge Mhlonishwa Luthuli. Engakusho kakhulu ukuthi ngempela inkinga yemali yokuthi khona la ilukuthi mawuthi umuntu wala ekhaya ufuna ukuyohlala kwindawo ethile ukuthi ibiza kakhulu. Lokho siye sakubona mangakhumbula Mhlonishwa last year ngoSeptember njengoba besiqala celebrate i-tourism month. Ngiyengakhuluma ngokuthi ngiyafisa ukuthi sibe nengxoxo nabantu besector ukuthi singayenza kanjani kube ne-2-tier ye-price system. La elukuthi khona amanani elukuthi azawubheka laba ababuya phesheya abaphethe uDollar abaphethe euro. Kodwa kube nale ebheke thina so that nathi njengabantu bamtsundu njengabantu bala ekhaya sikwazi ukuthi nathi sikwazi uku-enjoya le South Africa yethu. Yiloko abanye njengoba sikhuluma Mhlonishwa sebaqalile banawo amanani abawabekayo for abantu bala ekhaya, banawo amanani bawabekayo for abantu abaphesheya. But asigcinanga lapho ukukhuluma sicele. Into siyenzayo njengoba ngiwumphathiswa ngibeke i-panel ebhekane nokuguqulwa kwepolicy yethu, what we call white paper policy, and also nemininingwane ehambelana nemithetho yethu yakwa-tourism. Siye sacela ukuthi naloku bakubheke ukuthi singakwazi nasifane namanye amazwe akwaziyo ukuthi bafake ukuthi if umuntu ahamba tourism, i-domestic price and international price. Sizothi mase siqedile ngale nhlelo yethu esibhekana nayo yokureviewa kwepolicy sikwazi ukumemezela ukuthi ithini leyo mayibhekana nelezo zokubhadala ke Mhlonishwa. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Outcome, you will be the last one to have the follow-up. Honorable Outcome.
Chairperson, this is Honorable Labuskaghni. I'm going to take the question.
Yes, you may continue, Honorable Labuskaghni.
Thank you very much, Chair. Minister, as you would know, tourism is the fastest growing sector within the Western Cape, growing 5 times faster than the rest of the economy. It is therefore imperative that the Western Cape government, together with the City of Cape Town, work towards seeking measures to combat crime against tourists as it significantly damaged the Western Cape tourist brand. Minister, in your response, you mentioned the tourism strategy and a plan utilizing a memorandum of understanding with SABC, as well as tourism monitors and technology like cameras. I would like to ask you now, is there a memorandum of understanding with SABC in the Western Cape specific to tourism? And are there other tourism centers except Table Mountain in the Western Cape where tourist monitors and cameras are being implemented?
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Abskagni. Honorable Minister, over to you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Honorable Abskagni. Indeed, we do work together with the provincial government, together with the municipality. As I said, when I went to Table Mountain, we had a challenge. We were together with the MEC and the mayor there. In terms of deployment of tourism monitors, it's not only in Table Mountain. I've made the figure of 306. Only 100 are at Table Mountain. We do have in Robben Island, and others are deployed in your township areas, but we base on hotspots where we've realized that there is a challenge and there is a need for visibility so that tourists can feel safe. So that's the first thing. So that is done in partnership with the provincial leadership. As you know, that it's a concurrent function. So we work together with the provincial government, with the MEC responsible for tourism, MEC Mania, in order for us to be able to see this. In terms of the memorandum of understanding, we do not sign with provinces, but we sign with national. So we signed with subnational. So it was the Director General together with the National Commissioner. Once it's signed at that level, it's expected that the provincial commissioners, together with the HODs, will replicate and ensure that there's collaboration. But as part of the steering committee team, and the work that is being done, is done filtered through down. So where we are sitting, I don't think there is a need for a separate memorandum, because that memorandum incorporates all the areas and all the provinces. So work that is being done, I think, continues. We'll continue to monitor. As I said, we were looking at 2020 as a year where we'll pilot quite a number of things and see how best to improve from there. And we were hit by COVID, obviously. So we'll continue as we recover, utilize that opportunity to learn and see how best we can improve. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We have now come to the end of the questions to the Minister of Tourism, and I would really sincerely like to express our appreciation as the NCOP for availing yourself and also responding in such a comprehensive manner. Honorable members, let me now...
Well done, Honorable Minister, well done. Well done.
Thank you, Honorable members.
Well done.
Let me now give over to the House Chairperson for Committees, Honorable Nyambi, to continue with the Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies. And we also want to welcome the Honorable Stella Ndabeni-Abraham. And we will now give over to the House Chair, Honorable Nyambi. Over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. Greetings to colleagues. Let me also join you in welcoming the Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, and also thank the Minister of Tourism for availing herself to answer questions. As we proceed, we now start with the first question. Maybe to remind the Minister that the first question, we are given 5 minutes to respond to it. Then when dealing with follow-up questions, you have less minutes, and you are not coming for the first time in the National Council of Provinces. Honorable Minister Ndabeni-Abraham, we start with question number 37, asked by Honorable Tsube. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you to the honorable members for the questions that have been asked. My response to the question, Chairperson, firstly, is to explain that as the department, we are responsible to create an enabling environment in order to enable digital economy thriving. As part of that, we've got to make sure that we do provide skilling for the people that we are responsible for, which is why we therefore make sure that we develop the National Digital Skills Strategy, which has been approved by Cabinet. And of course, at the center of the digital strategy is ensuring that our people are trained, understanding fully well that we are not the one to deliver the training ourselves, but through partnerships, the Department of Higher Education and Training, CETAs, and of course, our training institute, NEMISA, and lastly, ensuring that we partner with international bodies like the ITU and Coursera. As I'm speaking to you now, Honorable Chair, we are rolling out a program of training 50,000 young people on data science and related skills. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The first supplementary question is from Honourable Nsube. Honourable Nsube.
No, thanks, Honourable House Chair. Thanks, Honourable Minister, for the response, which reaffirms consistency of your department to expand access to ICT services to the poor. The Honourable Minister, would you agree that the use of ICT facilities beyond making and receiving calls or messages remains a challenge, especially among majority of our people who are under semi-literate? To address this challenge, what are the envisaged plans of the department in partnership with the private sector to provide basic training on the ICT? Thanks, House Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Nsube. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Nsube. As I said, as the department, we are just responsible to facilitate an enabling environment, and therefore the partnerships that we enter into are with the Department of Higher Education and Training, NEMISA, our training institute, CETAS, Department of Labor, and any other department, because you may understand, Honourable Chair, that the nature of the work that we do cuts across. It doesn't matter if you're in social development, it doesn't matter if you're in agriculture, but at the center of it is the digital skilling. And of course, as the Honourable Member puts it, ours is to make sure that the interventions that are targeted by South Africa in rolling out the digital economy really leave a good social impact to the people that we are looking at. This is why we are looking at the new ways of manufacturing. We're talking the likes of 3D printing. We're talking about the laser cutting, virtual and augmented reality. Right now, honourable members, we are engaging virtually, and it takes a digital skill to be able to engage in the platform that we are talking about. But we are saying there's more that we can do, which is why we appeal to the industry to also come on board and make sure that they can contribute to this work that we must all commit to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The second follow-up question is from the Democratic Alliance. Honourable Member from the DA.
Thank you very much, House Chair, and good afternoon to the Minister. Minister, in spite of the much spoken about SA Connect project, meant to connect rural schools and by extension community, which is presently piloted in various district municipalities across the country. And in the OR Tambo district, the implementation of this pilot project is moving at a snail's pace, with only less than 200 out of the 1,400 schools connected. Minister, how do you hope to roll out SA Connect at a national scale if your department can't connect a handful of districts? And Minister, you spoke about an enabling environment. What is this enabling environment if you can't even connect schools? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Boshoff. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chair. Honourable Boshoff, when we talk of creating an enabling environment, it means there must be policy at place. It means there must be regulations that are responsive to that must be done. And this is the work that then occupies that we do. We are not an implementing agency in terms of our everything else. The project that we're talking about, as we are a department that is responsible to provide connectivity to South Africans, we therefore approved the SA Connect that you correctly referred to. But let me correct you. It is not true that in the first phase of our Tambo, because we had categorized the rollout of the broadband plan in different phases. The first phase looked at connecting certain sites in our Tambo, and we talk about 970 sites that we're talking about on the first phase. Then the remainder of the sites is what is going to the second phase that we will be embarking on. Yes, I fully agree, Honourable Member. It is true that we have not managed to connect all schools. But if you may understand the environment in our Tambo in terms of the poor infrastructure, the instability in energy is one of the reasons that has led to the problems. Because when schools close, then it means they switch off their electricity because they are trying to save. And as they try to save, they forget that there is Wi-Fi that has been installed and therefore it affects it, which is why now we said, as we roll out the plan, let's make sure that we bring all stakeholders so that when we go there together, we understand the impact that each other has on the product that we want to deliver to the people that we're working with. This is why we have established the steering committees. President and the cabinet had approved the DDM, and we are working together to say, these are the challenges. Department of Education come on board, the communities come on board, municipality board, and any other person, just like the Department of Minerals and Energy that has a role to play. We are certain and committed to ensuring that we connect the unconnected in South Africa. And this is why I said, as we go to the second phase that we'll be rolling out, it's a massive rollout, which is why we are partnering with the private sector, because we do recognize the capacity that we have as the state and the lack where we do not have. And our issue is to make sure, our focus is to make sure that at all times we collaborate with those that can help us achieve the targets that we need to meet. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next supplementary question is allocated to the EFF. EFF. Are you still connected, honourable members? EFF?
Yes, Chair, it's Honourable Mutsama who's going to take that question, Chair.
Thank you. Honourable Mutsama, it's your turn, sir.
Minister. Minister wa lefapha la dipuisano le maranyane. Re bone ka nako ya kgatelelo ya COVID-19 lefapha la gago le bapetse karolo e bokete tota ka go tlhakantsha batho dikgwebong le dipuisanong ka mokgwa wa maranyane. Ke matsapa le diphephetso difeng tse lefapha la gago di tlo di etsang go oketsa maranyane kgatlhanong ngwageng tse tlhano tse tlang?
Thank you, Honourable Mtsamai. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chairperson, and thank you for the question, Kumhlonipheki Mtsamai. Umhlonipheki Mtsamai uzakhumbula into yokuba nangona uvuma ukuthi siye saba nengxaki ezithize ngexesha le-COVID, apho sibone abathile bengakwazi ukuthi bafikelele kwiinkonzo ekumele uba bayazifumana ngenxa yokuba i-infrastructure yethu iyo engekho semgangathweni. Yiyo le nto sithe siqinisa uqolo ukuqinisekisa into yokuba ngaba sizawuqinisa kwezi ndawo sibona bezizi-loopholes. Ekuqaleni kwezinto ngoba umongameli bememelekile kwintetho yakhe ngoFebruwari, utshilo into yokuba sizawukhupha i-spectrum. Ngoba sikhupha i-spectrum ke ngosithi sincedisa kule nkqubo sithetha ngayo ye-SA Connect, uqinisekisisa into yokuba si-enhancer i-capacity. Xa sisenza kanjalo, njengoba besitshilo le nkqubo siyifakele kuba sisithi sifuna ukuvala le nto bayibiza njengomsantsa kwezokunxibelelana, the digital divide, sithi ke ngoku ngo-SA Connect siyafikelela emaphandleni. Uzakhumbula ukuba yiminyaka engapha kwama-27 sazikhupha i-license, kodwa unangoku sisathetha ngamaphandla angakwazi ukufumana ezi nkonzo njengositsho. Yiyo ke le nto urhulumente athi senza kanjani ukuqinisekisa into yoba siyakha kwindawo esibona uba sisasalele kuzo, ukuqinisekisa umthetho nokuqinisa i-regulation. Ndiyabulela, Mhlonipheki.
Siyabulela, Honourable Minister. Next time, don't forget to have your video on because the session is live. The fourth supplementary question is to the Freedom Front Plus. Freedom Front Plus.
Sorry, if I'm not mistaken, it's the IFP.
No, it's Freedom Front Plus. It's not IFP.
Sorry, I had the question paper wrong then, so we're covered with this one. Thank you.
No, if you are covered, that's good. Honourable Minister, we now go to question number 44, asked by the Honourable Handsome Chocolate Nana. Honourable Minister.
Ndiyabulela, Mhlonipheki. nangombuzo lowo ka Honorable Handsome Chocolate Nana ozimiseleyo ukuthi siqinisekise ukuthi silisebe siyachaza ebantwini ngemisebenzi esiyenzayo. Umbuzo womhlonipheki nanjengoko eqinisekisisa ukuthi ingaba senza kanjani ukuqinisekisa into yokuba abantu bethu bayakwazi into yokuba bangasaleli emva. Andiyazi noba ndiyavakala mhlonipheki.
Uyavakala Honorable Minister, accept the video.
All right. Ndizama uyilungisa mhlonipheki.
You can continue. If you're struggling, we'll assist you in future to sort the video as NCOP. Thank you. We are clear now, Minister. You can continue responding to the question, Honorable Minister.
Mhlonishwa njengoba bese ngishilo umnomzana uNana ngokuba ebuza nje kakuhle ukuthi siqinisekisa kanjani into yokuba kwezingxaki zikhoyo ze digital migration abantu abasheki ngemva sizakuqinisekisa into yoba lonto siyayilandelela ngenxaba ingxaki ebesesaba nazo ukwenzela ukuba kungabikho i-disruption zinto ezijongene nohlobo bekusenziwa ngalo zitime okanye ngamaqembu labesebenza phayana yiyo le nto ngoku sithetha ngento yokuba we are focusing on localizing the services so that the people who are working down there are the ones that are driving the work, and therefore the beneficiaries become the ones that are able to report and call anybody that was rendering the service. This we do, of course, with partnership with the municipalities. We have therefore contracted one of our agencies, which is called Centec, that must therefore help us in terms of improving the quality of the work that has been done. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Nana.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Tonight I will sleep a happy man. For once, I have been told that I am handsome. Mphathiswa, ukufeda nokungaphumeleli kwale project
Bawufura.
nokungaphumeleli kwale project yokutshitshisa u-analog inefuthe nemiphumela engemihlanga kuthengiso esidlangalaleni kwamaqonga ezoqhagamshelwano. Le project ingemva mphathiswa malunga neminyaka 10 bakudalwa kuthethwa ngale nto ingade yenzeke. Lo msina ndozele ubambezela ukwandisa ukusa eluntwini uqhagamshelwano olufikelelekayo ngokwasepokothweni kodwa lube iluqhagamshelwano oluzinzileyo. Mphathiswa, okokoko wangena kweli sebe ngokwalo msebenzi wale project ungazinika manqaku mangaphi ukusuka ku-0 ukuya ku-10 ngokomsebenzi wakho ngokungqamene nale project? Enkosi.
Siyabulela, Honorable Minister.
Mandibulele mhlonipheki, indeed ndizinika amanqaku njengoba esitsho. Ndiqale ekuqaleni komsebenzi esiwenzileyo so that azawunderstand umhlonishwa kutheni ndizazinika la manqaku ndizazinika wona. Ukufika kwam ndifike ipolicy ithetha ngento yokuba siprovide i-set-top box ebinengxaki njengositsho project ibisene-10 years ihleli ngenxa yengxaki ze-set-top box. Okwesibini into yokuba i-set-top boxes ezithetha ngazo bezingekho emarketini khona ukuze wonke umuntu akwazi nokwazi uzithengela ngaphandle kwezoxhaswa ngurhulumente akwazi uyifumana azayifaka endlini. Okwesithathu bekungekho nxulumano ne-manufacturers ukuqinisekisa into yoba we do understand the capacity or the capability of the manufacturers in South Africa to say, indeed, when I commit to the nation as the country to say by March 2022, we'll be able to migrate South Africans, that is practical because the manufacturers themselves will be able to provide the number that is required. As I'm speaking to you right now, one of the challenges that we experienced was the issue of installers, the number of installers that we had in South Africa, which is why it spoke to the poor workmanship. And I have managed to engage the manufacturers, and they agreed to an extent that we have reviewed the standards, and which was finalized in October 2020, by the way, as we engaged them in January. And then by 2020 October, the standards were finalized, which therefore tells you that the manufacturers are now ready to roll out massively in terms of producing the devices that we're talking about. The second issue, we have engaged the broadcasters and everybody in the ecosystem to an extent of establishing a work stream that looks at the entire ecosystem. If there is a problem from the installation side, let's make sure that we bring quality assurance. But even after installation, we have established another work stream that must make sure that indeed the person that has been provided the box or the IDTV is able to access the service that we're talking about. And for that, honorable member, yes, I have not managed to migrate the people of South Africa. The digital migration process that started in 2008, but with my arrival in 2018, late and up to now, I can give myself 5 and confidently say by March 2022, I'll be having 10 out of 10. Thank you so much.
I object to that score, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable. No, Honorable Handsome Chukoli. Thank you, Honorable Minister Siyabulela. The next supplementary is allocated to the ANC. ANC?
Thank you very much, Chairperson Baba.
Oh, Mama.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You will agree with me that this process has experienced a lot of challenges and has really struggled to take off. Can the minister clarify whether are there any possible disruptions in terms of access of our people to the television viewing associated with this transition? And if so, how is the department going to mitigate such disruptions? And what is the plan of the department to ensure that the youth, women, and the people with disabilities benefit from the procurement of the set-top boxes? Thank you very much, Baba.
Oh, thank you, Mama. Thank you, Honorable Pipi. Honorable Minister.
Now I'm tempted to want to be redeployed to the NCOP. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Member. Of course, you are correct, Mama, to say there's been lots of disruptions in this project that we're talking about. But in order to eliminate those that are threats to the target and the deadline that the President has set for ourselves, which is March 2022, we've undertaken a preparatory work in terms of ensuring that there's local preparedness, which becomes part of the integral part of the BDM project work. And of course, we are looking at registrations that have been too slow. We're looking at installations that have been taking too long, including the quality that was there. But at the center of it is raising public awareness on who must go where and where to access, even for those that are not going to be subsidized by government. And we believe that if we do this and then we participate 100% and all households that qualify get to participate, indeed we'll be able to eliminate the threats which talk to the disruptions that we're talking about. And therefore we'll be able to really minimize that. And of course, at the center of this honorable member is ensuring that we bring on board all those people that are coming from the poor households that earn less than 3,200 rands, and they must be beneficiaries. And we must make sure that people have access not only to broadcasting services, but also information is what we strive to achieve. Thank you so much, Honorable Member.
You are more than welcome, a minister in the NCOP. We will call you CC. And the next supplementary question is Honorable Klute. Honorable Klute.
Thank you, House Chair. Just a question regarding the process until March 2022. I just want to ask the Minister, what measures are there in place to ensure that there's no corruption in this in the set-top box distribution and getting it to the people? So what measures are there in place to ensure that there's no corruption?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chair and Honourable Member, for that question. As you are aware that as the ANC government, we are committed in ensuring that we root out all corrupt elements in our government. Therefore, we have, as the department, made sure that we put in place measures to eliminate and reduce any potential of corruption. The first thing that we did, Honourable Member, is to make sure that we conducted an audit of the existing current set-top boxes that are seated at the post office to verify if indeed those that were delivered delivered were in good quality, and also we paid the relevant service providers. But on the second phase, what we're introducing, because we are trying to eliminate this time that is spent more on procurement, which is when we do all these things, we are introducing a voucher system wherein the only thing that we're going to do, just like you do with food parcels, we issue a voucher to the relevant beneficiary as confirmed not only by State SA, but also verified by the local municipality and the ward councillors that we are working with, to ensure that indeed Stella Ndabeni Abrahams qualifies to get the set-top box or whatever device that we are offering, so that we make sure that when you get your voucher, you go and then change your voucher in your nearby store. You choose, we don't even tell you where to go. All we say, the boxes and the devices are available in these retail shops. Therefore, you can choose where you go in terms of the one that is next to your area. So we are trying everything. We have again increased capacity in terms of our call center, including all languages there, because previously we had only Sotho speaking people, and now you do realize that if people are only speaking Sesotho and then there's Mashangani that must be assisted, and then they won't understand certain things, and of course you'll find Xhosa. So what we are saying is that let there be all language representatives in the call center, so that when the beneficiaries want to call and inform us of anything, then we're able to do that. But we also appeal to yourselves, honorable members, to make sure that where you see that there's a wrongdoing, please raise the flag so that we can respond and together fight the corruption that is trying to undermine the democracy that we have in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The fourth supplementary question is from Honourable Aplen. Honourable Aplen.
Enkosi kakhulu sihlalo. Minister, njengokuba bese kubonakala bongathi kukhona ushokoxeko lwezimali lokuthi kuncedisane nabantu abangathathi intweni kule nkqubo. Kuyabonakala okokuba bekunyanzelekile uba niyokhangela i-funding ngaphandle. Ngoku ndicela ukuqonda ke Minister okokuba ngabana ingaba niye ngasebenzisa oluphi uluhlu lokukhetha abantu abanokuthi banifande kule nkqubo. Nokuthi ingaba bangaphi abaye babonakalisa umdla ukuthi banganceda kwaye zeziphi izigqibo eniye nazenza kunye nabo. Ndiyabulela.
Thank you, Honourable Aplen. Honourable Minister.
Mandibulele kumhlonipheki uAplen. Eneneni njengoba siyazi imeko yoqoqosho lethu ibucayi, i-Treasury yathi yasinikeza imali eku-1.6 billion exela into yokuba kusafuneka enye imali. Kodwa ke ngenhlahla njengositsho mhlonipheki uba iCabinet iye yasivumela uba masiyokhangela ezinye izimali, siyenza lento sidibene nesebe elili-responsible, i-National Treasury, ngoba kaloku thina asiyazi imigomo ekufuneka ilandele. Siyenza ne-National Treasury uqinisekisa into yoba sithetha ne-DBSA kunye nezinye ezawuthi zi-identifywe into yokuba ngokwe-regulations nemithetho yase-South Africa sivumelekile uba singasebenza nayo. So from our side okwethu kukuza ne-project plan ukuthi nansi into esiza kuyenza nokuthethela into yoba i-Treasury kwi-commitments ezenzekayo ingaba singayibuyisa kanjani le mali ze i-Treasury beyiyo esikhokhelayo. Silapho ke mhlonipheki asikayifumani ibhalansi, kodwa nangona sithi asikayifumani ibhalansi uzawuba ndithethe ngela 1.6 billion sinayo njengangoku ndithetha nawe esizawube siyispenda. Akukho nto imileyo ngoku ngenxa uba sisakhangela le mali, which is why it was important for us to engage with the manufacturers also to say where there's a need, they must be patient with us so that they understand that we may say produce 500,000. I'm making an example. As we produce 500,000, it doesn't mean that we're going to pay you once off, but you know that you give us 3 months until we consolidate the funding that is required for the project. And we are confident that by the time we come back to the NSOP, we'll be having specifics to say these are the companies or these are the banks that we have partnered with and whatever that has been considered in line with the regulations and the law in South Africa. Thank you so much, Honourable Man.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Minister, we now proceed to question 3838 asked by Honourable Modise. Honourable Minister.
Mhlonipheki, mandibulele ngengxelo ethe ngombuzo othe wabuzwa. Of course, mhlonishwa okwethu si department kubalekile into yokuba senze ngako konke ekusemandleni ukuqinisekisa uba abantu baseMzantsi Afrika bayazifumana inkonzo ngendlela abamele uzifumana ngayo. This therefore tells you that we are concerned when the post offices get to be closed. And as they get to be closed, we understand the negative impact that has, not only to the beneficiaries, but also to the people who are generating income by virtue of them having access to the clientele that the post office services. Of course, what we are doing is to try to engage the local authorities to say we also raise awareness that when we close a particular post office because of our current financial standing, so we are able to negotiate to say people must therefore be transported to the nearby post office. And this is something that we understand that is not out of our own making. It is because of the challenges that we're faced with and that we have inherited as the post office, appreciating that very few honorable members, including amongst yourselves, that still utilize the postal office for the current services, which is why we therefore spoke about repurposing the post office to drive e-commerce. And this is something that, again, in detail, as we are appointing a panel of experts that is going to help us drive that process, we'll be able to come in detail to say we have done our investigation in terms of why is the post office not financially sustainable? What are the things that we need to do away, including as we're in a process of reviewing the legislation, including the regulations, to say these are the things that we must do away, and these are the things that we must introduce in order to make sure that post office is able to be financially sustainable. And by doing that, it will minimize all this challenge. And we want to apologize, Honorable Chair, to all those people that you are owing on behalf of post office. We cannot be the ones as the ANC government that destroy small businesses. We believe that there must be engagement between the authority that contracted, which is post office, and the service provider to make sure that our people can get the efficient services that they're supposed to have. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Modise.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your elaborated response. Yes, Minister, you have agreed that most of your offices in the country have been closed. But my question is, because you know that the poor urban people, they are still relying on those post offices. My question is, how is going to affect, or how is going to impact to the rural poor in terms of accessing the services in that primarily provided by the post office?
Thank you, Honourable Modise. Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chairperson, apologies that I had to change my position. To respond to the question, I said the closure of the post offices to the communities has a negative impact, because now it means that the beneficiaries must spend more time on the road in terms of them going to the nearby police stations, but also it has increased costs to them as they need to take transport in certain areas. But as I say that, I said we are further engaging with local authorities in order to make sure that we minimize that negative impact. And this is the work that is ongoing. We're engaging district municipalities, local municipalities, and the traditional authorities in the areas that have traditional authorities. Of course, as I said, it is something that is very sad that we have to allow our people to go through that. But because of our current financial status, the post office, we have no choice until we have turned the tide around. And we are committed in ensuring that we revive all our services and make sure that our people can access the services in their closer areas. Because that is the reason we said every 5,000 kilometers, there should be a post office. That is the policy that we have. And therefore, we are committed in ensuring that that is realized by making sure that people can have accesses, including as we seek to minimize the impact, including digitizing the services by ensuring that people, we beg them that they can access their money through the banks or the cell phone banking that we are introducing. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Ngwezi, I just received a notice that probably still at the doctor. Honourable Ngwezi, if that is the case, then let's go to Honourable Lehihi. Honourable Lehihi.
Thank you, Chair. Post offices are central to the services of poor rural communities. What are the preventative measures to ensure the backlog does not happen again?
Thank Thank you, Honorable He. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much. I said earlier, Mhlonishwa, that we are appointing a panel of experts that will conduct an investigation that must make sure that the post office remains financially sustainable, and therefore it talks to introduction of new revenue initiatives. But for us to be able to be responsive to that and see what works for post office, as the policymaker, we've got to make sure that we conduct an investigation, and this panel of experts will be working hand in hand with the board to make sure that they get into the root of what causes all these challenges. As I'm speaking to you, Honorable Member, the ANC government has put about 8 billion rands over the past 10 years in the post office. That tells you that there's a challenge if we're still talking about the problems that we have, which is why we're saying let's change how we do things, because clearly the challenges are not only at board or executive level, but they go beyond that, which is why we are saying once we get all that report, the findings and everything, as we are seeking other means to make sure that post office is sustainable. As I said, one of those things is digitizing the postal services. Secondly, is making sure that the post office becomes the logistics hub of the country that is supposed to be, in order for it to be able to drive the e-commerce that we want it to drive. And we believe by doing so, indeed, we would have eliminated some of the costs that we incurred that lead to us not being able to do that we are supposed to do. Thank you once more, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honorable Bradenset. Honorable Bradenset.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, all this talk about the post office becoming the economic hub of a community, I'm sure you will agree, is very, very far away. I'm concerned now with the functions such as dispersing COVID-19 employment relief funds, assistance to SASSA, which has been there for some time. The pressure that you are under can only make things worse. Minister, have you considered in your forward planning the possible allocation of post office services, especially postal services, to private companies in that space? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bradenset. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member, for that question. And of course, as the department, we still believe that the post office can do more in the work or in the area that the Honorable Member is referring to in terms of the core business of the postal services. We still believe, as I said, the issue that we are dealing with is the issue that we inherited in terms of the challenges that we're faced with, be it of how monies were spent instead of investing in the business. Monies were invested on other things. And these are the things that we're trying to correct. But of course, honorable members, as I said earlier, where we need, because it's the ANC government, we believe that it is only when we work together that we can do more. And therefore, that means that where we need to collaborate with the private sector, we will collaborate as long as it is not at the expense of the state. I want to emphasize that. As we seek to build a capable state, we're trying to strengthen and close the gaps, but we are appreciative of the capacity that lies within the private sector, and which is why, when necessary, we will tap into that and say, let's find ways of partnering, because ours is to make sure that our people get the efficient services that they're supposed to get. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we now proceed to question number 35, asked by Honorable Klute. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, on the question asked by Honorable Tute. And of course, yes. Okay.
Honorable Minister.
She's muted.
Honorable Minister, unmute yourself. Honorable Minister.
The irony of the communications minister going down.
This is such an important question.
Thank you so much, and apologies, Honorable Klute, to disappoint you that I came back. And of course, you may be aware that connectivity goes with energy, and therefore there's a challenge from the energy side. We bound to experience challenges from the communication side. Of course, on the question that has been asked by the honorable member in terms of the unbundling of the post bank and the challenge that it will impose to the post office, we are aware, honorable member, that this may cause a challenge if we do not pay attention to it in detail, which is why together with the Treasury, we have said, let there be a clear business case that looks at the stability of the post office beyond the post bank. And this is the decision that we had to take, because if we are to make sure that we participate meaningfully in the banking sector, we've got to make sure that the post bank is responsive to all aspects that are expected in the financial sector. This therefore talks to the issue of the bank controlling company that must be capable enough, including not only personnel, including the issue of financial status, to make sure that it can be responsive. And this is the reason we took that decision to say, let there be the unbundling so that we're able to deal with all these things, for repurpose the post office to focus on what, as I said earlier, the e-commerce and being the logistics hub of the region, and make sure that the post bank becomes a collaborative platform, as we need the two to be joined, because all the work that is being done by the post bank, the work that relies from what post office does in terms of the infrastructure, but at the center of it is the appreciation that the post office has a critical role to play in the e-commerce platform, and the post bank must indeed play its part in ensuring that it gives access to those that are not seen that they are supposed to have access in terms of the banking. Thank you once more, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Klute.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Thank you, Minister. There's been some written about this in the media, and we have seen very little information regarding what exactly this is going to be. Are we looking at a state bank? Is this a state bank that Treasury and the Minister has alluded to? I've got bad news for the Minister. Poor people don't have money, or they have very little money. And unemployment is out of control. It's been for years. Even worse news is that SOEs and SOCs have failed. Now, an example of this is the very same post office you spoke about. It's so bad that the bank needs to be unbundled for it to meet Treasury's regulations to be able to have a state-owned bank in the company. So the post bank is not able to provide financial services for now because of the issues at the post offices. And now they're looking to unbundle the post bank to be able to provide financial services as basically loans. But the poor remain poor. Now the question is, with a 1% market share at this stage for the post bank, Minister, do you really think South Africans have the means, one, and two, the confidence to do business with the post bank?
Thank you, Honorable Klute. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. Just to clarify a few things that have been made on the statement, the issue of unbundling the post bank because there's no money, that is not true. I said we are unbundling because the law says a bank controlling company should be financially stable, and that does not have any impact on the bank. I want to emphasize that. It doesn't have any impact. If the honorable member has seen the post bank amendment bill that we gazetted 2 weeks back, it talks to this, and I do hope that the honorable members will make inputs on that, because we're talking to the establishment of the post bank towards licensing. This requires, as I said, it requires us to look into the entire ecosystem. Now the honorable member makes reference to our people being poor and that they cannot afford the services. The post bank is the bank that is closer to the poor. That is why most people still do not have access to bank, but they use the post bank because it is the most closest to them. And honorable member, I want to assure you, the reason we are doing everything in our power within the law to make sure that the post bank gets its license is because it has to function like a fully fledged bank that looks at the work that needs to be done, including the needs of those that you refer to as unbankable in the society. Many people, honorable member, cannot wait for the post bank to be licensed, including businesses, by the way. including businesses. They see an opportunity that the post bank can play and bridge the gap that is there within the current industry and the work that they are doing. So we are confident that the minute we bring to yourselves the amendments on the post office, you will fast track the process so that me and you, as you correctly put it, we look into the interest of the poor and we do not look anywhere else, because we are public representatives that at all times should have the balance between the industry players and the needs of the poor people that we are serving. So we're counting on you, honorable member, to make sure that our bill will become a success and Post Bank can finally take or occupy its rightful place in the financial sector. Thank you, honorable member.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honourable Nana. Honourable Nana.
That's not good. That's not good enough, House Chair.
Honourable Handsome Chocolate Nana.
That's much better. Mphathiswa, i-Post Bank kutsha nje ibisanda kudandalazisa ukukhula kweshishini labo ngeli lixa le-lockdown. Akukho nto ke apho esinokuyivuyela koko kukhula, kuba elinenele lokuba loo nto ngumlilo wendiza. Okukhula kweshishini beluphembelelwa zii-accounts ebezivulwa ngabantu abaxhamla kwingxowa-mali karhulumente ye-COVID-19 Unemployment Relief Fund. Abanye abantu bekuthiwa ngoo-350 rand xa bebizwa. Njengoko sazi Mphathiswa, loo ngxowa-mali iyinto nje yomzuzwana, kwaye i-Post Bank ayikwazi ukungqiyama kulo mjelo wemali ngelixa elizayo. Kulo nyaka ophelileyo, i-Select Committee ibikhe yagoba ityholo ne-Post Bank, ibhodi yase-Post Bank, nabalawuli balaa bhanka. Le nto ithethwa ngumnumzana uKlute ayonto ayikha emqaleni, Mphathiswa. Basichazela ukuba kususela kwaqala lo gilikanqo ka-COVID-19, i-risk profile yebhanka imbi kakhulu, kuba abantu ababefudula begcina imali kulo vimba baphulukana nemisebenzi kwaye bayacutheka ebhankeni. Mphathiswa, xa usijongile isimo soqoqosho seli lizwe, iimpawu zicace.
Liyaphela, liyamuka ixesha.
Iimpawu zicace elubala okwemhlophe ehlungwini ukuba le bhanka ayinawo amathuba okuphumelela. Xa ucinga ukuba Mphathiswa, njengoba sikule meko elizweni, umbono webhanka yeposi ingaba ngumbono othe vetshe, ingaba ngumbono ophuhlileyo. Enkosi kakhulu sihlalo ngondipha umzuzu. Ndiyabulela.
Ndiyabulela, Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chair. Let me first register my concern over members that do not have confidence in a state-owned bank, that is the Post Bank. It tells you that the members have never even tried to utilize the Post Bank that they are here to talk about today. And I would encourage honourable members to utilize those services so that they can see the capacity at the Post Bank. As I talk about that, I said at the center of banking is to ensure that an institution is liquid in terms of the financial standing. And the Post Bank is, whether they are the 350 rands or not. The reports, if the honourable members have followed, every time we report on the balance sheet of the Post Bank has always been doing so well. Yes, it's doing extremely well now because there's more money that goes to deposits. Although it's money in transit, this one, because we have deposit money that is there by the depositors, which even ourselves we're able to say we are investing. As I'm speaking to you, have invested a sum of 1 billion rands in the lead bank. That is not a bank that is struggling. You cannot say we're struggling if we're able to invest a sum of 1 billion. That's one of the investments that we are making. All we are asking from you, honourable members, is that just have faith in the state and the capability of the people of South Africa, that indeed the state can have a role to play in the financial sector in order to transform the sector, but most importantly, in order to avail access to financial services to those that are poor in our areas and those that are in need of the post-bank services. And we believe that by the time we get the license, if the honorable members are not going to block it, the Post Bank is here to prove everyone wrong who does not believe in the capability and the patriotism of people of South Africa who say, if it belongs to the state, we've got to use it, we've got to protect it, and we're going to invest in it. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next
ingxaki mphathiswa sabona kakubi
Honorable Chocolate. Thank you.
ingxaki mphathiswa sabona kakubi kwi-VBS
To the ANC, it's Honorable Dango. Honorable Dango.
Chairperson, sorry, point of order. The minister can't say that members cannot stop this because we are the legislative branch and it's not up to her, it's up to the NCP.
If I may, thank you very much.
Honorable Dango.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Minister, banking for those people who are so-called unbankable has proved successful in many countries. We have Grameen in Bangladesh, and the very President Obama was launched from a bank called the South Shore Bank in Chicago, which was a community bank. Similar to the Post Bank, looking at the people that other banks had ignored as being unbankable. Those banks became very successful. And Minister, if I can advise, and the question is, can we look at what happened with Grameen Bank with Professor Yunus and what happened with South Shore Bank and banks like that to see if we can't replicate for the poor people who have no banking services at the moment to actually provide banking services for them. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Comment from Honorable Dango.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and thank you to Honorable Dango for that advice. Of course, we will consider as we seek to learn from those that have worked the path before us, but most importantly, in order to strengthen all the efforts that we have, we welcome all the ideas. And indeed, we will make sure that we strengthen the work that we are doing. Thank you once more, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honorable Moletsane. Honorable Moletsane.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Minister, when the Post Bank is unbundled from the South African Post Office and becomes a stand-alone state-owned bank, how do you plan to ensure that this does not become another opportunity for the ANC government to loot? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Member, for that question. Of course, as we are aware, the ANC government is doing everything in its power to ensure that we root out corruption. And therefore, when we introduce measures like this, that we are clear in terms of the objectives that we want to make sure that we provide access to the people that did not have access to banking services, it therefore tells you that we have to put stringent measures. That is why it is something that from the regulatory point of view, the Reserve Bank, Treasury, AG, and everybody that is working in that process, we have joined hands to say, let's look into the policies, let's audit the existing systems that we have so that we make sure that indeed they are tightened. Of course, Honorable Member, I have not forgotten that as we talk of this environment, we're also looking at digitizing the post-bank services, just like other banks that are found online and are able to do well. So we also cognizant of the fact that there may be cybersecurity elements that we need to look at, which is why we're inclusive in approach to say, let's bring the security element into the technologies that we're talking about, try to eliminate anything that can be a threat to this that we want to do. But most importantly, we vet and we call upon members, honorable members, to make sure that if they see anything, and hopefully they will not be found amongst those that are trying to corrupt the banking people that we're talking about, because this corruption does not happen on itself. As much as the member says the ANC looting, but it has been proven beyond doubt that many people that have been mentioned, they're not only belonging to the ANC, which is why as the ANC, we are clear on one thing, that we're not gonna allow anyone to undermine the service delivery that we must take to our people by engaging on corrupt activities. President has been very clear. You've seen the law enforcement agencies, which is why we say, when you see anything, make sure that you whistleblow so that together we can fight corruption and make sure that our people get the best service that they are supposed to get. Thank you once more.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we now proceed to question 3.1 asked by Honorable Arnold. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. And to respond to that question, of course, we have seen lots of challenges that we have experienced. And as I said earlier on, one of the things that we experienced was the fact that we have not had tighter measures in ensuring that we avoid irregular or wasteful expenditure, which is why now, as the Post Office has tried to apply for intervention from the National Treasury, although we're not successful, we've said then let's review how we're doing things, because I understand, as I said earlier, that the National Treasury has pumped about 8 billion plus. And therefore, if at all times there's lots of money that go to wastage, there is a reason for the people that are putting money in the past to say, no, it means there's something wrong that you are doing. That is why we said, let's review the contracts that we have. Let's undertake an audit of the services that we are rendering, including overhauling the infrastructure challenges that we have, in order to make sure that we can eliminate all this wastage that we find. Thank you so much, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Arnold, first supplementary question.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to the Minister, and then also to all the members of the NCOP. Minister, every financial year, year after year, there is unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. And the PFMA is very clear in terms of the counting officers, the authorities responsible for preventing such expenditure. It also stipulates the process that needs to be followed. But what are the reasons for not taking effective preventative measures to prevent this wasteful expenditure, and in terms of the consequence management also for those involved? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Arnold. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Member. Firstly, let me say the Post Office has taken measures against those that have been suspected, because others are still in the investigation process, and others have been released because they have been found guilty of certain offenses in relation to the matter that we're talking about. Of course, as I said, as long as we have not addressed the issue of our IT systems that is at the center, as long as we have not made sure that including the property evaluation is done, because one of these things that leads to this is when we get to move from another area that we own to a particular area that we are going to lease. And therefore that talks to irregular expenditure when National Treasury and AG are looking at it to say, why did you move from a building that you own and you had to pay these monies? But most importantly, the fact that we have not managed to digitize services, that there's lots of paper trail that cannot be followed. And these are the things that we are saying now. We are appointing a team to look at those and make sure that we digitize those. And CETA has been brought on board in terms of availing the e-services, the 56 e-services that are available in the government portal, to make sure at least we can eliminate the potential threats. But we are working together with all law enforcement agencies, including AG, to address the challenges that we are faced with at the Post Office. Thank you, Chairperson.
Siyabulela, Honorable Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honorable Prudense. Honorable Prudense. Honorable Prudense.
Yes, Chair. Yes, Deputy Chair. Thank you very much. Deputy Chair, I must thank the Minister, first of all, for the joke of the day today. She really made me very amused when she says we must have faith in the state. The past 25 years leaves me a little bit faithless. And also just commenting that if the ANC are doing everything in their power to fight corruption, they must be feeling quite weak at the moment. But anyway, Honourable Deputy Chair, let me continue.
Honourable House Chair.
Minister, based on your response to Honourable Arnold's question, it's quite clear that you're not really doing much to go after the officials that are responsible for the irregular, wasteful, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So I just want to know, when will your coterie of corrupt officials volunteer to appear before the Zondo Commission for a thorough interrogation of their nefarious activities? Or have they already been subpoenaed? Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I'm happy that the honourable member does recognize that people don't just go to the Zondo Commission, they get to be subpoenaed. And for as long as we have not received anything that people must go there, we cannot indeed force anyone to go there. And it is not true that we are not doing anything to ensure that people are punished where they need to be. I said there are people who have been sitting at home. That is why now we are finalizing those investigations to say we can't be paying you because we are taking too long to investigate. One of those things that led to that is because there's been lots of instability at the post office, which is what we are trying to address by filling in the critical positions. You have seen last week we appointed the CEO of the post office. There are other positions that are being filled as I'm speaking to you. And these are meant to bring stability in the post office so that we can be able to hold everyone accountable, those, especially those that are really undermining the law of our country and therefore utilizing the funds according to how they like to do. But the second thing, honorable member, I like the fact that I was able to make the honorable member laugh. Indeed, it can be a joke to compare 25 years as compared to from 1948 to 1994. You may think that it's easy to do it because when you had inherited a system that only accommodated the minority in our country at the expense of the majority of the people, you will not understand the challenges that people go through. What I said earlier on, one of the critical challenges that we're faced with in the post office, they are hereditary to a post office that was created there not to service everyone, because right now we have people even in the suburbs that are using the postal services. A post office that was merely meant to then identify gaps in terms of saying who is doing what, because people were looking for spies when we're looking when we're talking about our liberators, because that was our only way of communicating. And now we are saying, make the post office do the right thing. Let the post office be the center not only of communication, but of government services that is closer to people. Indeed, to a person who has never experienced that, it is a joke. And to us, it is the past that we must learn from as we build on the future. The last thing, of course, honorable member, as a South African, it is my responsibility to make sure that at all times I do best in ensuring that the state becomes better wherever I'm deployed or wherever I participate, which is what I expect also from honorable members, to have faith in South Africa. Honorable members cannot come here and pose all these questions, talk about unemployment, talk about poor people, whilst they themselves, by their own conviction, they do not believe in this that they are talking about, unless they think it's important that we politic on the matter that affects the majority of our people. And to that, I would take offense, because if you're gonna play politics about the state of our people, it tells that there's something wrong in your thinking and your ideology. And of course, as the Minister of Communications, under the ANC government, mine is to tell our people that they've been resilient all these years from 1910, 1948, up to 1994. And I know, which is why they constantly reject anything that wants to contact the ANC to make sure that the ANC improves on the services that it has started to render. I have not given up hope, because I know among South Africans, there's the best of the best that still wants to do good. There may be few elements that undermine the good that we're trying to do, but as the ANC government, we are committed in ensuring that we work with everyone, but most importantly, we deal with all the corrupt elements. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Point of order. Point of order, Deputy
Minister.
Point of order, Deputy Chair.
We now come to question 395.
Deputy Chair, point of order.
Honourable House Chair, what's the point of order, Honourable President?
Deputy Chair, I don't believe that it's parliamentary for the Minister to cast aspersions on anybody who criticizes the work that her government is doing. That is the job of the members of this House. And when we raise issues, it does not mean that we're part of an apartheid regime. It does not mean that I was born in 1910. It does not mean that I supported apartheid. I think it's very unfortunate that the Minister refers to that history I'm actually doing my job, Deputy Chair. I'm doing my job.
Honorable Brother, sir, you asked a question, the Honorable Minister responded to the question, and as I was listening,
Yes,
I
but
did
she,
not
yes, but she passed aspersions during the answer of the question.
Honorable Minister, we now move to question 39 asked by Honorable Matibe. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much once more, Honorable Chair, and let me apologize to the previous Honorable Member for stating the facts of what is happening in my country. I really apologize if the member felt otherwise. I was just telling the reality of the story of South Africa. As I come to the question by Honorable Matibe, of course, at the center of SABC challenges that we are faced with, it is, as you will recall, honorable members, at some point we took the nation into confidence in terms of the turnaround strategy. You have seen on TV, we were toing and froing, fighting and agreeing later. And that was all meant to ensure that we get the best turnaround strategy that we can get within the resources that we have. And in that turnaround strategy, at the center of it was eliminating anything that is so cost consumptive in the SABC, but also trying to find ways of saying, let's look at other revenue initiatives, just like payment of TV license fees. I do hope, Honorable Chairs, I'm speaking about that the honorable members are paying their TV licenses, because before we come and talk about SABC sustainability here, we have a role to play, especially as leaders, although the role is for all of us as South Africans. So the first thing is to enhance our model or our strategy in terms of collection of the TV license. The second one, of course, as the policymaker in the department, we've got to look into all the legislative and regulatory elements that are hindering the SABC from participating meaningfully in the digital space that we're talking about. That is why we are reviewing the laws. We've introduced some like the audio-visual that many people are unhappy with, because unfortunately, as the policymaker, Honorable Chair, we cannot choose to be popular. We have to do what needs to be done, including disrupting the status quo for the benefit of the public of South Africa. So we are doing everything. And yes, the turnaround strategy seeks to make sure that SABC can be sustainable. Thank you once more, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Matibe.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, and thanks to the Minister for the response. Yes, indeed. Just to start, I pay my TV license. I'm not owing anything from in terms of the TV license. I think it's a very good initiative. It must start with us, honorable members, that we pay TV license, and also all the public representatives, either in legislature, in local government. If we do that, of course, it will assist the SABC to turn around. There is no doubt, Honorable Minister, that SABC remains one of the critical and strategic state-owned entities, and will therefore require funding by the state. And indeed, for us as the ANC government, we need to prioritize that. Is there any long-term view or plan of the department to strike a balance between the imperatives of minimizing job losses and the sustainable turnaround strategy of the SABC? If there is not, and what are the relevant details in that regard? And what is the long-term vision of the department in terms of the sustainable funding model for the SABC? Because, Honorable Minister, we need a sustainable funding model for this critical state-owned entity. Thank you very much, House Chairperson, and thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Matibe. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Matibe. As I'm speaking to you right now, honorable members, the department is in a process of finalizing the review of policies, legislations, and regulations that are affecting the broadcasting sector. As I said, at the center of it is the review of the funding model that must make sure that at least it provides sustainability to SABC. And when we do that, of course, we're looking at international best practices, which is why we're talking of a complete overhaul. Right now, members, we pay about 3% that goes towards the public mandate. And it is high time that as the ANC, in its, or the governing party in its conference resolved that the government must pay more money towards the fund, about 70% towards the public mandate. Therefore, as the department, we are working with the National Treasury in order to assist SABC to be able to cost the public service mandate that they have a responsibility towards. And we are doing that in order to ensure that we can determine the required funding and, of course, explore funding mechanisms for the unfunded mandate. Everyone, Chairperson, wants to watch their favorite match on SABC. Everyone wants to see if it's a funeral, it must be covered. When political parties are having their rallies, they want to be covered. But now we are calling that, yes, that is important, because those are matters of national interest. But then what we are saying, let's therefore join hands in ensuring that, therefore, the state must be able to fund the SABC accordingly, including exploring other initiatives, so that SABC in the future, as we envision, can be able to be a true and pure public broadcaster that is supposed to be. Thank you once more, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next supplementary is from Honourable Klute. Honourable Klute.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. Here's the conundrum with the SABC. You know, for all practical reasons, SABC can just close the doors, but it can't, because the Constitution requires that we have a public broadcaster. So in the final analysis, we are simply stuck with an SOE that we cannot get rid of. In the meantime, if TV license holders stop paying their fees, any turnaround strategy involves financing something that the SABC has lost. Now, there could be a number of reasons for this. COVID is one, the fact that the conventional media has changed and devices have changed. Another is content, which should be a debate on its own. The fact of the matter is that SABC has lost income, and we've seen campaigns upon campaigns to fix this with no avail. Now, a service provider has been appointed to handle the debt collection. It's a debt collection agency that's been appointed, some of whom government departments that owes municipality their TV licenses. So maybe we should start there. In fact, in December, the South African government alone owed 57 million rand on TV licenses. So, Minister, what are the details of the service level agreements with these debt collection agencies, and have they been successful? In other words, have they been able to meet their targets?
Thank you, Honourable Klute. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Member, for that question. In my earlier contributions or responses, I have spoken to the review of the models that we are using at SABC when it comes to TV fee collection. I said we are introducing those, and that's what the turnaround strategy, amongst other things, mentions. You are asking me a question if they've been successful. As we're speaking here, you've just acknowledged the fact that most people have stopped paying, and that's because of different reasons at times, including the fact that we have not managed, because people have not paid their TV license, we have not managed to generate content that is appealing just like our competitors. But at the center of that is the fact that if you want to compare SABC, which is a public broadcaster, to a commercial broadcaster, again, you are not moving from the right direction, because they are different. If you look at the number of the head count that we do not have in SABC, including the finance methodologies in terms of the PFMA and everything that they must subscribe to, it's completely different from how the commercial broadcasters work. Therefore, we shouldn't be then we shouldn't be comparing the public broadcaster with commercial broadcasters, but we should compare the public broadcaster with other public broadcasters. That is why we are saying now the state and other initiatives must find a way of funding the public service mandate of SABC. It also talks to the structural challenges at SABC that the state must be able to resolve. But at the center of that, once more, Honourable Member, is the fact that we have to make sure that, including ourselves, we bring business to SABC. You are mentioning a very important point, that we found that municipalities are not paying, government was owing so much millions. Yes, that is why we wrote to all premiers, cabinet ministers, mayors, and everyone to say, you are owing SABC, and SABC cannot afford a blackout, because it is the only hope of the hopeless in terms of bringing access to information to our people. But most importantly, there is an entire ecosystem of small businesses that are benefiting by the existence of SABC, not only on driving information as the platform. So as we do this, that's why we're saying we're joining hands, calling upon the private sector, the public citizens, including the public representatives, to say what is the best methodology, including when we bring legislations that must be amended or reviewed. We want to have an appreciation that the honorable members will be able to contribute meaningfully for the interest of the public of South Africa, despite or irrespective of who is in government right now. And that requires us to work together. The first step, of course, as the governing party that we have taken after the turnaround strategy is that we have called for to say, let there be a panel that should be established to look into everything that we're talking about, whilst the department and National Treasury are exploring other avenues. Of course, at the center of this is the strategic direction that must be provided by the SABC board as the accounting authority of SABC. So we are looking at this, that as SABC with its own independence, but as the government that has a responsibility to fund, we should make sure that the funding that we provide talks to the service that our people get. And that's what is our story, which leads to us to say there's a need for us to review the policies, to review the legislation, including the regulations. Hence, I made mention earlier on the introduction of the audio-visual, and we are working on the amendment of the SABC bill again that we are going to present to Parliament. Thank you once more, Honorable Chair.
Siyabulela, Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honorable Matebula. Honorable Matebula.
Nakensa Motama Shitulu. Minister, the management failure at SABC have resulted in a lot of job losses. What guarantees are there that this new turnaround strategy will not involve job cut? Nakensa Mtamashtur.
Namen Kenzile, Honorable Matebula. Honorable Minister.
Nakensa Mhloniphe. Thank you so much. Of course, Honorable Member, at the center of the turnaround strategy, if you look into it, as we looked at the cost drivers in SABC, at the center of it was the issue of the headcount, where in the previous bailouts that have been provided by the National Treasury on the bailout conditions, it was clear that there's a need to undertake staff optimization with clear defined objects or steps that have to be undertaken by the broadcaster. So the turnaround strategy does look at that. At the center of it, it doesn't say that we are not going to retrench people. It says if there is a need, as everybody agrees, that we have seen all the wrongs that we're talking about at SABC, and we are taking responsibility, both as Parliament, because the boards that we're talking about are appointed by Parliament, and the executives that we are talking about in terms of the management that we are saying it has failed is appointed by the same board that is appointed by Parliament. So that's why we're saying let's jointly take responsibility for the failures at SABC. But whilst we're doing that, we shouldn't then say, because they will live because the fact that wrongs happened at SABC, of course, some of the people are just affected by that. But what we are saying, if you need to make sure that as you repurpose SABC, there's certain skills that you see that you do not need. Make sure that you upskill people, because as the department, we are also undergoing the program of digital migration. We're still gonna need more channels, and in those channels, we are then able to redirect people to particular skills so that you can tap into the capacity that you would have released. So that's what we are doing to say, yes, one of the components in the turnaround strategy is staff optimization with clear objectives and outputs of how it must be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next supplementary question is from Honorable Baha. Honorable Baha.
Masbulele Skar. Minister, the last person who ran SABC profitably was Mr. Peter Matlare, who passed on last week. And we want to pass our sincere condolences to his family and friends. With his passing, any hope of this failed project, which has deteriorated into a propaganda mouthpiece for the ANC, has also expired. Minister, to protect the jobs and livelihoods, is there a plan to sell off SABC to private business or part of it, where it is likely to become a viable project again? Thank you, House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Bacher. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Bacher. It's a pity that we would choose to say SABC is an ANC propagandist platform. I do understand you may feel like there's lots of coverage, but unfortunately, the majority of this country have chosen ANC, which tells you that majority of these people belong to the ANC, and therefore in their little corners, SABC has to cover the work that they do, including the messaging that they would want to hear. SABC is a public broadcaster. As we have seen that they are trying to balance everything that must be done. But again, those that are unhappy, unfortunately, they should try to come up with ways of ensuring that SABC can then provide the coverage that they want without confining them to the minority groupings, but it has to balance. When it balances, it means if we have 59 million people in South Africa and 30 million or 11 million of that are ANC, unfortunately, that tells you that the dominance will be by ANC programs in terms of government that is happening. Of course, Honorable Chair, you are talking about the late Peter Mutare, and may his beautiful soul rest in peace. As government in South Africa, we've really lost someone who contributed immensely to the work that we are talking about to date. This is why, again, Honorable Chair and Honorable Member, we are doing everything in our hand within the confines of the law to make sure that SABC goes back to reclaim its glory of being the best public broadcaster, but at the center of it, going back to efficient management that will respond positively to the work that it's supposed to do. So yes, there are plans to make sure that we do an audit of all the assets that we have, because there's no reason for us to keep assets that are no longer adding value whilst we're also complaining about the increasing costs in terms of expenditure. So we're doing that audit, and yes, when necessary, we will have to dispose of such assets. Of course, we will come and brief Parliament once those things are approved. You may have heard in the Northwest, the SABC has already started in terms of saying we no longer need this building and we need to make sure that we can make use of it and take the money from it and reinvest in the business, because all we want to do is to make sure that SABC continues to be the best and improves from where it is today, so that every child that we give birth to can take pride and be able to say, I want to watch SABC and not anything else, as the majority are doing today. So yes, we will tell you we are forging partnerships, which is part of the turnaround strategy, partnerships with telcos amongst the strategies that seek to enhance our revenue initiatives. And that's what we are looking at. In terms of selling, I don't know if the selling was just of the assets, as I've already responded to that, unless you are then referring to something else, Honorable Member, but that's how far I can go as per the information I have received from SABC. As you understand that I'm not an operative at SABC, I'm the minister in the department, then rely on my reports, and that must be aligned with the policy direction that we are giving as the country and government. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, we have come to an end of questions to the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies. Even though we normally say we don't praise a fish for swimming, allow me, honorable members, to thank the Honorable Minister, Ndabeni Abrahams, for availing herself to answer questions in the National Council of Provinces. Honorable delegates, Honorable Minister, that concludes the business of the day. The House is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank
Mama.
Good. I love you, Mama.
I love you more, Mama.
welcome, CC.
We've recruited a new sister. We've got a new CC.
Oh, yes. Welcome, CC.